Hello.
Welcome, welcome everyone. We've just had a lively political debate that we will not subject you to because we're all here for D&D instead. What we're doing here today is a little bit unclear. Today's session will likely be quite freeform because we have travelled off the script to some degree, and we've gone down into Cormyr, and we're now looking into the acquisition of an army. We hope to play an influential role in Tethymar. We hope to conquer the mines and the old dwarven holds and the adamantine and mithril that can be found within. But we know that the Zentarum have secured a large portion of this and have likely increased their power base significantly as a result. So we've travelled down into Cormyr all the way from the Dales, and we've reached the very edge of Cormyr now, or what used to be Cormyr. Now, the rates at which this country's borders are shrinking are phenomenal. They used to, they quite recently, during the era of King Arzun IV, their territory stretched all the way along, halfway along the Moonsea Ride, halfway to Thorndale. It encompassed through the Shadow Gap and out to the edges of the Anarok Desert by way of the Stonelands. But that border's been receding a lot in the past recent years. They lost most of the Stonelands. There was just too many orcs, and they simply couldn't hold them. A great vast swathe of territory gone. Arabel was destroyed or burned to the ground, and a city of 40,000 people, not the largest city in Cormyr by far, but definitely the biggest in the north, was burned to the ground, and that was about 4 years ago, and the rebuilding effort has only just started to make a difference now. To the northeast, the great territory of Gloriana, the brand new county that was established under duchy, actually, established under I think he was a duke. He might have been a count. It doesn't really matter because his reign didn't last very long. And when this duke or count's reign ended, so too did Gloriana. This vast territory that would have reached within a few 200 miles of the Dales. That too has been lost, and now Tilverton, a city of about 10,000 people, barely a city, but certainly a very big town, was absolutely destroyed. And we went past Tilverton, and we saw that it was enclosed in a great big black bubble, like some snow dome made of transparent black glass, and we stayed the hell away from that thing as it looked pretty sinister, and we've now headed away from that and towards the dwarven holds of Harndorf. And when we arrive in Harndorf, we discover that Cormyr has shrunk again. For these mountain ranges represent the northernmost sector of Cormyr, now that Gloriana is gone and Tilverton is destroyed and the Stonelands have long since been abandoned. And Harndorf's declaring independence. The dwarves here have put up their own flag and torn down the Cormyrian flag, and as we arrive, we will see that the celebrations for this independence are in full flight, and that's where we begin. And people at first think it's some kind of relief force from Cormyr, like we've been betrayed. The relief is already here, but they soon realise that it's a Tethymar flag, it's an ancient dwarven flag, and that fills them with such delight and joy and glee that it's taken as a sign from the gods that the Morden Salmon, the dwarven pantheon, are in full support of this action.
Artisan, although it might not matter, but it might help a slight bit, will also don his clan crafter regalia, showing that he is a full-fledged member of the Del Zone as well.
Oh, absolutely. And look at this. A weapon of war from ancient times has come to us. A gift of the gods, no doubt. Our independence is secured.
Yes. So where should we go since this is where Moog's from? Um, who's the boss of this clan?
Probably one of those guys up there on the makeshift podium. Probably the people who are berating Cormyrian rule and talking about how they wouldn't serve underneath a woman, and how wizards have taken over court, and this is all probably been orchestrated by the wizards. One of those begruntled, grey-bearded males with the warhammers up on the stage.
I mean, are there any of them my kin? Are they my
Yeah,
clan member?
absolutely.
So, like,
Yeah.
clans are pretty tight. It's company.
Yeah, absolutely, and blood relation, like an uncle or perhaps grandfather or something like that. What do you think they would be to you? An uncle or a grandfather?
Yeah, one of any of the above. So that's, Moog's got he's got the hammers, a Morgan that he went off.
Yeah.
He was in a prosperous clan, and he kind of went off to go serve the hammers and do dwarven good, the dwarven community,
Yes.
and then the Templars, and then so he did that for 25 years, and so he came back.
Yeah.
And so he's looking for the clan elders and any of the hammers, and then and then he did some time with the that mercenary outfit that we're trying to hook up with.
Absolutely.
As well. So any of those above, like, the first thing we do is report into whoever the boss is for.
And look who has arrived! Says Tyrus Fellhammer, the one of the hammers of Moradin that can be found here, and a relative of your own as well. He returns at last! He returns at last, and he bears the flag of Tethiamar. Oh, come up here, boy! Come up here, and tell us how you acquired that which you bear today.
I go up there and give them a hug, and obviously they're going to see.
And there's a great
Rev.
cheer. People
The
raise
dwarven
their
plate.
mugs and drink.
Like, the dwarven plate armor of the king I'm wearing probably stands out a little bit.
It does. He's dressed like the king of Tethiamar.
The mines of
It's one, dude. Everyone else is drunk and not really paying attention. No, it's not like that at all.
I go to artisan.
It's not like that at all.
I go to artisan and say, "Give me a block of mithril and the other one."
He hands it over ceremoniously.
And I go up to the king, or after whoever. Is it my uncle or my grandfather?
We'll call Fellhammer. We'll call him an uncle.
Okay, uncle.
Married a sister of your mother.
We have the mines have been opened. We have captured half of the loot of Tellimer, and we bring it back here. And I hand him a block of each one as his tribute is also this is for you, and hand him a pound of each. There's more from where this came from as well.
Mithril. He looks at one and holds up to the other of the crowd. An adamantine. The boy has. You found the mines of Tethiamar, and you've been within.
We have. We've stormed the mines. We've raided them. We've beaten the mithril dragon. The adamantium dragon that was guarding it. However, we've been driven out by the evil army.
You took it and you lost it again?
We couldn't. The Xantarium army. There was a spy amongst us, a party, and they alerted the Zantharum, and the Zantharum had eyes on taking it the whole time. So they have half of the loot, while we have the other.
We were but 5,
you-
and they were over 100.
You've done what the King Gondagle couldn't do. You got into the lower levels. You got past the gate.
We had to go through the Underdark to escape.
Then
We
you
made
know
our way
the deep ways as well as the upper ways.
It was quite the journey.
Do
The
you
mines
hear
are
that,
what?
everyone? Away back into Tethiamar! Away to reclaim what is rightfully ours! Everyone cheers, and then they wait for you to speak again.
Our party's here to build an army to retake the mines or reclaim our homelands.
There is great cheering, and everybody seems ecstatic except for Tyrus up here on the stage and a few of the other elders. Your proclamation, well received by the crowd, causes less cheer among the elders than it does the warriors. They give concerned looks at each other, but they don't say anything for now.
We have the maps. We have the way in. We had a fine battle. We have many things to speak. Shall we have a drink and celebrate?
Aye, he says to the crowd. I shall drink with my nephew and hear all about his adventures, and perhaps I'll tell him one or two things about what's going on in Handorf as well, eh? And everyone gives a cheer. He gives a wave and kind of shuffles you away, maybe a little bit too roughly, dragging you off the podium, maybe quicker than was absolutely necessary. They shuffle you away. Well, boy, it's been so long, and you've been busy. Look at you, you got fat.
Aye. That's what's sitting on my arse on this caravan has done to me.
Come and sit on it again and enjoy some of our roast beef. It's peppered with spices from across the sea. Don't even know what they're called. But have a seat. Now, an army. Yeah, an army. Well, I'm afraid, boy, that I'm not sure that we've got the numbers for a worthy cause, though you might have there. You see, well, if you haven't noticed, we've just declared independence, and reprisals are a very real possibility. Can I? So I don't think that an army is really what you should be here for. On the contrary, if you want to stay around and provide a bit of support, then we can look into your little project maybe a few years down the track.
Mines be ready for taking. It's the finest forge you'll ever see, with rivers of lava.
We've just declared independence, man. We can't go
Independence.
emptying the place of warriors when on the very day that we've said that we're strong enough to look after ourselves.
Zentarum have claimed the forge of your ancestors in Tethiamar, and have
Aye?
the adamantine and power to completely wipe out all dwarven civilization as you know it. We must wrest this power from them before they can fully appreciate its worth.
You want to see dwarven civilization? Then here it is. This is it, Andorf. We are the only independent dwarven kingdom for 1,000 bloody miles. So don't tell me about dwarven civilization. I don't
Imagine
know
if
what
this
the Zentarim's going to do with those
civilization
weapons, but I don't think they'll turn them against us too quickly.
Imagine if this civilization can be rebirthed in the home of your ancestors.
And imagine if the Cormyrian army marches up here and crushes the dream of independence once and for all, only days after it's declared. No one will ever have the gall to try again.
Then perhaps you should claim Teliamar as your realm instead of this land.
Make a persuasion roll.
Can they have it at advantage? We're all arguing the point.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why Teliamar would be a good one. So yeah, go ahead and have advantage on the roll.
You can have guidance on it.
I'm gonna re-roll it because I think it's a pretty important check.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Have guidance on it as well.
Oh, guidance, sure.
You have my bird on it on your shoulder.
Yeah, the negotiation's really probably longer than a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flash of genius to make it 15 then.
50 Flash of genius works. And who are you? Are you the representative of the crown come to convince us to send our troops away so that it'll open it up to your conquest, your reoccupation?
Merely stating a suggestion. You yourself just said that you fear reprisal from the Cormyrian military, so why not avoid it altogether and claim the home of your ancestors instead?
And this is one of your kin and one of your clan crafters also arguing the point.
Uncle, I have 100 pounds of mithril and 100 pounds of adamantium, and that's just my cut. We have enough to make the finest army this unit has ever seen, and it'll take some time to build it. Why don't we think about how we can make you strong?
And I am one of the greatest crafters in the land.
I agree. Your army needs to be strong. Why don't we talk about that? And then we can see about where we can raise an army from. Armies don't be developed overnight and take time. We'll have to be looking for making allies on this battle. But in the meantime, we can make you the finest, provide you the finest materials. And I know these materials are hard to come by. We just came halfway across the bloody country.
And retake to... Oh, go ahead.
You're not going to find any better.
And retake Tethyaman and you will have even more.
Yes, we only have half of it.
Maybe a third.
There's an entire adamantine dragon being cut to pieces and made into Zentharum army as we speak.
Aye, well, you speak in some level-headed sense. I'll give you that. But we've been here for hundreds of years now.
So give us a place to set up shop. And I need to go speak to my mother.
Well, it's an independence holiday today, but if you need the run of the forges, then they're still warm.
Why we'll be celebrating, but I gotta go check in with me ma.
Aye, that you probably should. She's had a bit of a rough run recently, your ma.
How is that?
Oh, well, cousin on your other side, on your father's side, he got killed by drow, he did.
What are you doing killing by drow? How'd that be happening?
Well, that's the other thing, and I suppose it's worth bringing up now. You were going to hear soon enough anyway. We've been getting harassed, we have, from underneath. Now, the tunnels that lead down into the Underdark have always been a problem, what with Umber Hulks and whatever else. But the Dark Elves have been coming up in force the past 12 months or so. It's past 6 months hard. It's meant to be some kind of chaos going down there. An army of fire giants and dead people walking around or something, and it's sending all the drow to the surface like rats in a sinking ship. And we're clashing, we are. But the way I hear it, it's happening all over the realm.
Aye, we saw some of the dead as we marched in the Underdark ourselves. But we have
took these ones into the Underdark, you did?
We had to. The army was coming from the top. It's better to make our way through the Underdark than be hunted down by dogs, by an army, in the sky, and wizards.
Oh, aye. Well, that would have made them less green than when they went in.
Aye, and we have a dark tale of how Teliumar fell. A demon possessed got in, made the king mad. It was a horrible, over 100 years, how it fell apart. Found all the bloody
You've got the
skeletons.
histories.
We do. The demon took in and corrupted their minds. Yeah.
Do you have these documents, these tablets and such?
I believe we do, yeah.
You left them behind. But you memorized them, but you left them behind. Well, that's something, I suppose.
I'd be wearing his armor, but the bird, he remembers everything.
We can say, can we say that whoever did the check would have read it aloud?
We all read it.
Yeah. Could Carrick repeat it?
Yep.
I think so.
Well,
I saw the demon. I did.
I'll have me sages. I'll have me sages and scholars copy down every word. I will. It's this kind of evidence that might motivate the our kin to take this very seriously.
Aye. Well, we have business. As you see, we have a caravan of supplies, and we have quite a bit of fine minerals and metals that we need to be dealing with. And we're not going to be raising an army today. We're just coming in. We need to set up our camp here for the time being. Make this our permanent residence.
That's. Aye. Residence shall be provided for you. Don't worry about that. Well, if you don't have enough space at your own place, then it'll be. We'll billet your people with someone else. You won't need for accommodation. We don't have inns here anyway. Taverns, yes, but never really encourage people to stay here.
Do you ever have anything, a forge that can melt mithril and adamantine? The Warforge here, he's the finest I've ever seen.
Oh, a forge. Right enough to. Well, I think we've got the forge, but we don't have the furnace. I don't think we've got anything hot enough that'll burn, if you know what I mean. You'd need dragon fire or something to get things that hot.
Could I try to marvelous invention it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you're basically coming up with some chemical compound that will drive the heat up to 1400 degrees Celsius.
Okay. So I'd have to make it 25.
So we need a place to be working as the Warforge goes to business on making the armor and the weapons.
Well, we'll consider that granted. Here, let's tarry no longer, and we can continue this discussion along the way. I'll take you down to the forge.
Yeah, I'll go directly to the Crafters Guild because I suppose they would be definitely able to give me advantage on it.
Yeah, it's an independence holiday today, but some people will work even on their days off.
It takes 10 days, so that would be fine.
Cool. So we'll be here for a while. If 10 days might be long enough for the Cormyrians to respond.
Right. So we've got this shipment. One of the carts needs to be delivered. How far away is that?
It does. I don't know. I think we know. I'm pretty sure that we were just supposed to meet her somewhere. Does anyone remember where?
He said anywhere from Tilverton down, I believe.
Right? Well, yeah, that's right. Anywhere from Tilverton down.
So I'll ask the uncle if he knows where Westgate Wagons operations be.
I think in Arabelle. The caravan companies base themselves in Arabelle.
How far is that? Is that
That is a good question. I think it's about 50 miles, but it might be a bit longer. Yeah, and it's not on the map of the Dales, but I have a Cormyr map here somewhere. Maybe there just isn't one in this game, so I'll try to make that up. Yeah, and the map of Faerun is like too imprecise because Arabelle's not on it, and certainly Harndorf is not.
We try to see if there's any complete maps here.
Yeah, they'll have a map of Cormyr, so I'll just make one up now.
Or we could
Very
probably
good.
have you just copy one instead of buying it, since we're kind of welcome with open arms, and I can mark you as my assistant.
If we're going to stay here 10 days, yeah. I'll sell it for 50 gold, but yeah, you can, over the course of 10 days, you'll be able to make it up if you want to. Alright. So, here's Tilverton, Tilverton Scar and Griffin Hill. We're around about where Half Hap is. That's Harndorf. The start of the mountain range. Maybe Knoll Pass might be more exact. And so Arabella's about 45 feet away.
Yeah.
No. So we've got a scale here. Roughly 50 feet is 150 miles. So roughly 100 miles is about 30 feet. I won't try to do the conversions. 30 feet is 100 miles. So 5 feet is maybe 15 or 18 miles, maybe. Oops, that's wrong. Yeah, that's pretty close. So from where we are, the Knoll Pass down to Arabelle is about another 100 miles. So that's 100 miles of Cormyrian territory that we'll be passing through after having just left a town that declared its independence.
Eleanor has to deal with that.
Do we want to go to Arabelle first, or wait for an attack?
I would say we have business to finish here, and then it's up to the party to do what they want to, take a vote of how we want to continue. Do we want to stay here on the rest of the caravan and sell it?
Pretty much, yeah. If people are going to travel along the road, then you'll be on it. You could go up the up through the hilly country, but it's not a road. Yeah. Yeah, and there'll be a conflict in Knoll Pass that the dwarves will have the advantage of because they'll be the defenders in a pass, which is always obviously a good thing to be.
So, Moog takes 10 pounds out of each and goes and visits. He's like, I need to go visit me ma, and goes to my family clan in Pa and wherever that residence is in Tilverton to give them tribute. 10% of my stash.
All right, and so you go there. So your father's still alive, is he?
Yep. Lives a long
I saw
time.
you up there today. I was in the crowd. What a proud moment it was when I saw the flag of Tediamar come up the road, being borne by my son. I'm not ashamed to say that you've amounted into more than I've ever been.
The gods have been good to me, Father. And they've been good to us. I might not have been lucky and found a mine to dig, but I found what was mined and give him the 10 pounds of each.
This is a fortune. I know what this is, and this is more money than Mother and I would know what to do with.
The Stormlet clan is now, things are changing. You can run your mines and go deeper. You come with us to Tedium or back to Tediumar and take a place there. But for now, you decide.
Oh, I think I might be a bit old to relocate up to the frontier again. I quite like Handorf. The weather here is mild, and we've got everything we need.
Well, then guard it safe and sell it as you will. Make of it what you will. The business, the family business of our mines, you can invest it in that. And you know what we be doing.
But son, I'm not sure if this is a grand development, and Meraden be good. We're being watched down from above. I don't doubt that, but I'm worried, you know. I'm worried about this independence thing. I'm worried about this expansion thing. It all seems too much at once for me. Maybe I'm just a little bit conservative. Maybe I'm just a little bit old-fashioned. But I feel like Cormyr's done us good, and we shouldn't be breaking away from it unnecessarily. And I feel that Tediamar's done us bad. And maybe we should be sending armies up there, not settlers.
Wise words. You know me, Pa. The affairs of men are above me and us. I like being in our mines and under our mountains. Cormyr one day, an army the next. I know the only thing is we don't want the Tharum to get too strong because the armies of Bane. We don't want to be holding the yoke of that master for sure.
Well, the Zentarum are a long way away, the Moonsea very far from here, 500 miles, but in the decades to come, and in the centuries that pass, I can't imagine that their ambitions will be sated with the cows and the leathers and the furs of the dales. It seems that if we don't have Tediamar to slow them down, then conflict with Cormyr will be inevitable, and independent or not, we're going to be caught in the middle of that.
Who is behind the independence?
Oh, the men, mostly. Their wives seem to think that things were okay the way they were, but there's always been a grinding itch for our people to rule themselves. And autonomy just hasn't been good enough for some of them. It's good enough for me, let me tell you. The Cormyrians have looked after us. They've fed us and they've clothed us, and we've defended their frontier and the relationship between human and dwarf. I think it's not bad as far as relationships between people go. But you know the way men are. Young men want to fight for their freedom, and old men have got these ideas in their heads from their youth that they just refuse to get rid of. And so now we've got all these fellas who have stood up and said, well, to hell with Cormyr, they're weak right now, they're divided, and you know what they've gone and done? They've invited the Symbians in. They've invited the Symbians, and we've got, you might have noticed already, we've got a couple of Symbian grenadiers in this place, supplementing our troops. They knew that Cormyr was going to react negatively, but you know, I'm not sure if I like to have Symbians occupying my hills.
Why be that?
I suppose it's their values. It's their values. You see, their women are very loose, you know, and they're always dancing around and wearing bright colours and letting their hair flow without tying it back and such. And the men just it's all about money. They just think that they can buy the world, them Symbians. Give me good Cormyrian values, good traditional values of supporting your king, of military service, right? Of feudalism, you know, the divine monarchies are a blessed thing. And just because our king happens to be a human, don't mean that they ain't blessed by the gods. That's the way I see it. Them Symbians, their only god is the gold coin.
Aye. Strange times these are. What about that town? What was the name of the town that was destroyed? Yeah, with the bubble over
Tilverton,
it?
the one that was...
Yes, Tilverton.
Yeah, Tilverton.
What happened? You be knowing what happened to Tilverton?
Oh, as I say, no one does. I say no one's been game enough to go and penetrate the glass that holds it in place, a dark glass, or others are saying that people have, and the instant they went in, they aged 100 years, and their hair turned grey, and their eyes fell out of their heads, and they died there on the spot. I think it's a little too dangerous. Whatever curse took Tilverton is lingering there. It is, and ain't no one's gone in and seen what's what.
Aye. How long ago did it happen?
Oh, how long ago did it happen? It's been a while now, you know. It's been a while now. I think it happened on the first day of the summer, I think it was. Aye, a couple of months now. And it's just been lingering there ever since. In the days of King Azun IV, mind you, Cormyr would have had chartered adventuring parties by the dozen scouring through them ruins by now, but things haven't been the same since he died. You know, some of them revolutionaries, they've got a point, you know. Ever since they put that Princess Regent on the throne, why, she's as much a puppet of the wizards as anyone else.
So we go through the whole story. I tell him everything that happened with
Sure.
everything in the fall of
He peppers it with paternal advice
and
and
you know,
anecdotes.
show him artists and if you ever seen a Warforged,
Amazing.
and all that stuff.
Never seen one.
So, just a question: in your universe are dwarves bearded or female dwarves?
Oh yeah. Yes or no, depending whether you want them to have a beard or not. So some are and some are not.
I would say clean shaven is always better. But that's cool. So you just meet the mother and give her hugs and kisses and introduce the party and make a meet of it, and then want to meet up. The last thing before we go, I want to meet up with the Hammers of Morgan, and then we want to go to the mercenaries.
Absolutely. All right. Tyrus, the guy that you were speaking to earlier, is one of the only Hammers of Moradin here in this settlement. There's not a lot of them here, but you're able to go and offer your prayers at the shrine and do the rites that are necessary.
Was Tyrus my uncle, or he's but is he also like the clan leader, or is he a hammer?
One of them. Yeah, one of them. Yeah. Not
So
they don't
like,
have a. They don't have a specific clan leader here. It's more like a council of men that make the decisions, because ultimately the Cormyrians won't let them have one dude who sits above everyone else. So they're more like a council.
what about the So there's no brothers here that I could go talk to, and that they could go
Yeah.
find like the head of the give message to the head of the Hammers, like head of the Templars.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
this
You can
happen, kind of a thing.
definitely you can speak to someone else within the organization.
Like, is this where's
but
the capital of the Hammers? Is it Mithril Hall? Is it around here? Like,
yeah, probably somewhere in the Sword Coast. Yeah, not here. That's not here in any case. So
Yeah.
probably like the Sword Coast. Maybe Mirabar, or Citadel Albar, or Citadel Felbar, or one of those places up there in the Sword Coast, on the other side of the Anarok Desert. So
we
not geographically not that far away, but the Anarok Desert separates you so severely that it's hard to get contact.
So I want to finance a party from the Hammers to go give message to the heads that we've gotten Tediamar, and what we're doing here of starting to craft. We have half of the wealth of Tediamar here, and we're starting to craft information and get word on their guidance of where they want to support moving up or not, knowing that that'll take some time, but send a messenger. And so if there's anyone that can do that, like from a I'm sure that's probably heavy news because that's what the Hammers are supposed to do, is defend dwarven provinces and prospectors.
And it doesn't take long before you receive a sending directly from the Hammers. They use one of their priests to send to make a 25-word message to you. Crusader, brother, tell us what you will require, and your will be answered. We stand ready to assist you in your endeavors. Tediamar, be strong. I think that's 25 words.
Yeah, we need help building an army. I tell them how much we have, and but we don't have men. And I am not one of the tongue, so we need someone that has political sway to help.
All right.
So that's kind of what I sent back to them is, we're building an army. We need your help. Someone with charisma that can charismatic paladin or a priest to come down and give guidance to help champion this army.
All right. You receive no further reply, but you probably have some familiarity with how the spell works, and it's likely that they receive your advice.
And then the last thing is go to those dudes that that other mercenary group, and just we can all talk to them. What's the group?
Yeah, the Dirge of Alderson. That's them.
Yes, those
All
guys.
right.
Because you said they were down here too. Yep, those guys.
They are. So you sit across the table from these guys in their office. It's a relatively humble place. It's got some old war artifacts in cabinets behind glass, but for the most part, it's very utilitarian. Forms and stamps and and only a handful of military decorations. So there you are, speaking to the leader, Kar Gemmel. Yeah, absolutely.
Arson would definitely
That's,
go since he's part of Delzoon and he's a higher level artificer than all the others.
and when you walk in the room, this wire-bearded, bespeckled dwarf gets up. Magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. As he goes over and inspects Artisan, asking me a series of questions such as your power source and do you feel fatigue? Do you have any memory of the ancient days? He's you're like a walking museum in his particular fascination, and you've never had a bigger fan than this guy, Artisan.
Artisan would hold his arms out and let him inspect and explain and give answers to the best of his ability to all his questions, as he himself considers himself an work of art that he hopes to replicate someday.
Welcome to you all. Please get comfortable if you wish. And it is good to see you again after all this time. It has been too long, Mog. It could have been you sitting in that seat. It could have been you directing this company. But it seems that you've been busy with your own projects.
Morgan and Clangadin had other words or other ideas on where my future should lay, obviously. So you know what we've done? Have you heard the words?
Have I heard? I couldn't wait to meet this entity, this wonder, this enchanted device. Do you mind if I call you a device?
I am one of your own, as I kind of puff out my metallic chest with the Clan Crafter symbol on it.
Magnificent. And what's this? A rabbit? You're traveling with rabbits and birds now.
I come from the Feylands.
I just look at him and just start speaking in Sylvan. Just say I don't speak common in Sylvan. Just stick with that.
Well, it's cute, whatever it is. A very unusual pet that you've acquired yourself.
I know that. Quite handy with a sword, I tell you. If I'm no smarter than a bird, fine mapsman, and an eye for the intrigue.
How marvelous! How marvelous indeed!
So you know why we're here?
I can guess. You've come to take my job after all.
We've been wanting to buy your company to help us on our quest for Tediamar.
Well, we're not cheap, and not like me to turn a friend away, but, you'd have to be deaf, dumb, and blind not to know that the Civil War is brewing in Cormyr. We're needed here.
We're not leaving tomorrow. But would you be thinking about raising an army to get there? We have half of Tethymar here, but there's much more inside the mine still, in the lower level, in a finer crafting facility you've never seen.
Truth be told, brother, I long for the opportunity to escape these politics. I don't want to be caught up in a war between Cormyr and my people. I still remember every human that I've killed in my life, and it's not many. I'd much rather be directing my explosions towards goblins or something else. But now you come here and you tell me that the only way that I'm going to get away from killing Cormyrians is to kill people from the Moonsea. Are humans the only enemy that we have these days?
Enemies can't holding our lands. However, there's plenty of orcs and hobgoblins and are normal enemies for you to be blooding your axes with. We need to create a plan. How long would it take to assemble an army here?
Well, we have our. Are you talking in the scores, in the hundreds? How big is your army?
How big can you make it?
Perhaps 200, but in doing so, we would weaken Hondorf to the point where even a Cormyrian task force would be able to take it back.
So it looks like we need to neutralize that threat before we can start taking and make some peace with the Cormyrians before we can start resettling our homeland. Why don't we try to? How about
He
we?
looks over at Eleanor.
Yeah, I'm nodding in agreement.
How about we start building an army? We've got quite.
Independence has been declared.
We need to negotiate. We need to get to the bottom of it for sure.
Perhaps
However,
we can negotiate enough time to get to Tethium for the dwarves to go to Tethiumar.
we just need to be assembling the army now, not leaving until the time is right. So we have the funds to assemble an army. Can you get any humans to join your ranks as an auxiliary?
I think I can.
Would that be costing?
Well, mercenaries are in high demand right now, and anyone who can hold a sword is already doing it for Sembian gold or Cormyrian gold. Independent nobles and foreign armies and even the crown are all turning to militias and mercenaries for a little bit of oomph. But
So
nobody wants the iron vultures.
I get Artisan to give me 20 pounds of each, and I start stacking it on his desk. Just
So
say
how
when.
much is that going to be worth? £20. So 20 times 500 and 20 times 1500. One's 10,000, and the other, I guess, must be 30,000.
I guess 40,000 ish.
Just be
think that's
saying
right.
when.
Well, wait, before you go any further. If you can give me 100,000, then I'll do everything that I can to build one of the largest independent armies in the region. It won't be the biggest, but it'll be one of them.
Fine, I give him the 40 pounds then.
All right. I mean, he takes it. Well,
Before we do that,
you
can
didn't
I
even,
do an
didn't
insight
even wait
check
for
on
my
the guy?
clauses.
What's that?
Before
you
we
didn't
do
even
that,
wait for my clauses.
Okay, give
Yeah.
the clauses.
and can I do an insight check on the guy?
Absolutely.
Nat 20.
He's being frank with us. He's being frank. Like we just offered him X amount of money, and instead of just taking it, he's like, "Whoa, dude, whoa! Don't give me enough money to buy 2 castles yet. Let's talk."
So what
about
is his clauses?
Essentially this. Some of the stuff you've already heard because it was just said a few minutes ago, and that's that every mercenary is already employed. So there's not a lot of without the big bucks. There's not a lot of options, but we've got the big bucks. You just put them right there on the table, and the people who aren't going to support ideology are obviously freelancers, mercenaries is what we're talking about. So if you believe in Cormyrian independence, then you've already grabbed a sword and you're supporting Cormyrian independence. The only way that money is going to change that is if you're a traitor. So what he's basically saying is, look, the more money you throw at it, the lower quality people you're going to get, because more and more people are going to do it for the money, and that's fine if we want numbers. Um, um, but no amount of money buys true loyalty, particularly in times like this, particularly against an enemy like Bane, who you should rightfully be terrified of for your soul. So yeah, he'll take you 100 grand and he will build you an army, and we as players can work on exactly what that means. Um, but if all you really are strike forces, then we can save a lot of money. And I guess so. Taking a step back and breaking the fourth wall and talking as players, this is where we should decide what we want the campaign to be. If we're going back to Tethya as like 10th level characters, and we're going to go and explore Tethya and take and hold, which we've already basically done. We've already been through the complex already. What do we need the army for? Is part of this? Are we doing a world-building campaign where we are rebuilding dwarven civilization? That's certainly great.
Yeah.
If that's what we're doing. And how then can we best use this 100,000 to do that?
Well, this
So,
is still out of Moog's share. So Moog is only grabbing his 100.
That's
He's got 100
amazing.
of
That's
each.
how incredibly rich we are.
So that's coming out of Moog. Everything he needs, Moog is given has been out of his share. And so Moog just tells him he wants the right people, but he needs a strong army here. And, we've got time. I sent out words to the Hammers, and the Hammers,
All right.
and we're recruiting locally.
Yeah. So we basically want a team of special forces settlers. Special forces settlers is what we're after.
Well,
The best. The Hammers of Liberty won't,
Hammers
but
of Morgan.
the Iron Vultures will. Yeah.
The Hammers of Morgan are like the Knights Templars. So that's like, if you look at that, they're just run by clerics supporting dwarven society and fighting goblins and stuff wherever they verge, and orcs wherever they verge, and start threatening orcs, dwarven settlement across the country. So that's what they're in the business of doing, is taking back dwarven strongholds and settlements, things like that. So that's the Hammers, but we've got to make a strong army for the dwarves right now. So that's why, he tells them, the town, our people need a strong army, and we need to start getting people ready to go to Tethya. So
all right. Well, this is really cool then. So what we've basically done is you've gone to a dude that you can trust, from your backstory, an organization that you know is reliable, and you've invited in the people that you really do trust, not the mercenaries, but the religious order, and you've essentially subcontracted the creation of a personal army with the intention of going to a former dwarven hold and setting it up. And so he says, well, look, we're going to have to prioritize things like farmers, for example. The Anarok Desert has taken a lot of that farmland that used to support Tethya 5 centuries ago. That's all gone now. So we're going to have to employ some hunters and loggers and mountaineers and other people who can sustain. There's not a lot of food in the Underdark, and sustaining a society like that is difficult. But regardless, it's in his hands now. You've given him the cash. He is essentially a project manager, and he will go and spend this 100,000 gold pieces the way he thinks is best, within the guidelines that you have already set out for him. Very good.
With that nat 2026, can I be assured that his intentions are pure and he's not going to fuck around?
Absolutely. Like the guy is on our side. He wants this to be done right. That's his concern is that we seem to be, for one thing, trusting him too much, rushing into this, and he's just not sure if we understand the depth and gravity of the situation here. But apparently we do, and he's like, well, great. So we're gonna contact crusaders from the other side of the desert to come across and give us support. We're going to pull in the support units that we're going to need for the society to survive. We only want warriors that we know that believe in the dream, and if we have to pay extra for that, then we will. Yeah, all right. Like, these guys are really serious.
Right, and we've got a year or more because
and
we've
you've
got a
given
lot
him
of
a
stuff
year.
to. So you don't assemble an army in old days overnight.
No.
Or it could be a couple because the tensions need to be done here. And
There
Moog's
are
not
a lot
gonna
of
broke his
Sorry.
clan. I mean, Moog's not gonna break his clan. Some wishes to not go to war and leave this settlement uncharted to go reclaim Clathamar. So if we've got the means, we can make defend. So Moog's telling him, "Hey, I want this area defended, but we need to start. This needs a. Obviously, this wars are everywhere, and we need to start building a strong dwarven army. We got the means to, and the coin and the materials to build that, and so this Teliumar can be a year or two out from our professional development of the campaign timeline, but looks like we have to go to Cormyr. We got to get a lot of things. So if we can get a forge set up here, and we can get that stuff taken care of, then we can start heading south to go figure out what's going on with Cormyrians and start that part and deliver the goods and
very good.
Let this take place. So that's what Moog recommends the party.
Yeah, I was going to suggest if y'all want to go on diplomacy and finding that one lady, Artisan can craft here, begin crafting that marvelous invention for the forge, and then whatever the army needs, as well as upgrading our own equipment. Because I believe everyone would really like some adamantium stuff.
You'd have to play a different character, though.
Well, I think if Artisan wants to do that, then Artisan just died and went to heaven and is now an NPC that you can come back and play, but that's going to be in charge of all the refining and building the material for the army. And we could use him as an NPC, but you're probably going to have to roll another character if you want to not be building stuff.
I mean, I'd be fine with one of the greatest crafters in the land, if not the greatest, just passively making shit while we're off doing shit. And I can roll a different character until.
And bring Artisan back in, whenever you feel is appropriate. Nothing wrong with that at all. And because I'm not sure where the campaign is yet going, and I don't think you guys are sure either. We're kind of working it out right now. But if we, for example, did go deeper into Cormyr so that we can negotiate with the Princess Regent and go, look, don't invade the dwarves or something, or even if we're just going to Arabelle to drop off our stuff and then come back. As I said, I don't actually know what we're going to do, but yeah, if you want to make up a temporary character, then that's certainly an option for you. Because I don't know where the campaign's going, and I don't think anyone else does at the moment.
I think from here we're going to try to stave Cormyrian reconquest, and then meet up with the Westgate Wagons lady to give off, or man to give off the stuff, and then a year or two of downtime.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Good question. So we'll move the story ahead then. We're in Harndorf. Harndorf has declared independence. We arrive, we bring in word of Tethiamar, we speak to some important people, and we get basically the entirety of Harndorf on side. The elders are a little bit worried that we're distracting the population from a possible reprisal. The mercenaries are reassured that we've got a long-term sustainable plan to resettle the region. It seems like it just might work, and the Crusaders have been alerted and are beginning to prepare for their arrival to give us their assistance. We are able to now move the story ahead either one day if we want to, if that want all that to just happen in one day and us move on, or 10 days where we sit here and wait to see if something happens, or a month. So what do we want to do? What's the party going to do next? How quickly do we either want to get to Arabelle or potentially get all the way to the capital city, Suzail?
Well, how long does it take to set up, like, really set up shop of building? So whatever they would take for us to do all the negotiations, set up, place for Artisan to be forging and
That would be
doing
10
all
days
this
for me.
space. And so does Artisan depart now and become an NPC that just has all of most of our wealth, and on him is a vault and the forging this stuff, and then we head south with Lady Eleanor takes over as we go into her country.
There's also the barbarians and the Sembians to the north, right? They seem to have taken over all of the lands north of this place.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, it was mentioned that there are Sembians mixed in here as well, isn't there?
There are Sembians mixed in here as well, and I haven't brought them up, and I really should have. But like, these grenadiers are getting around. There's quite a few of them, and they maintain low profiles, and they tend to stick together. And I guess it's just like occupying soldiers any foreign region. They tend to clump together. They tend not to associate too much with the civilians that they're protecting. And so when you see them, they're in groups, maybe in the taverns, for example, and they're just waiting for something to happen. But as long as there's no action, then they're on duty, but with nothing to do. And things might go on like this for weeks.
Well,
they don't have to build defenses because, like, there's no defenses to build, and they just kind of patrol, and patrol means drinking because the sergeant doesn't care where they are.
I can't. Would any of their alchemists be in here if I wanted to recreate their bombs?
Like a dwarven alchemist or something? Do you mean?
The Sembian grenadiers.
Oh, the Sembians. Oh, yeah. Right. No, they don't have any alchemists, so they've only got a limited supply of grenades. Yeah.
Yeah. If I was able to get my hands on some and try to reverse engineer some, could?
So, like, you talk to the quartermaster or something like that?
Yeah.
The quartermaster pulls you inside and closes the door, looks out, and says, "How much? How much you will buy? What will you pay for a grenade?"
Okay, I'd say 100 gold.
100 gold. Make a persuasion roll as he thinks about it. He strokes his thin black goatee. 100 gold.
The Sembians working for the dwarves? Is that the arrangement?
I'll also do a flash of genius on that to make it 17. Sorry, 18.
Gold. Here, take this, but don't let anyone know that I have given it to you.
Slips it into bag holding.
Amazing.
You have my word.
Yeah, the Sembians, are they working for dwarves? It would seem so. It would seem that someone has privately contracted some Sembian mercenaries, some grenadiers, because the Sembian military isn't a state military. It's more like lots of little private militaries, and these private militaries subcontract their soldiers all the time. Sembian mercenaries are an export, but they're not owned by a central government. They're owned by houses, and these belong to House Bedouin, and some dwarf has hired them to just hang around, or maybe some Sembian. It's unclear who's paying for them.
Does it look like this town could defend itself as it's currently set up if the barbarians to the north should decide to keep heading to the south?
Potentially, yeah, potentially. It really depends on numbers. Harndorf doesn't have a very large population. There's probably 200 fighting adults, population of about 500 all in all. So it's a pretty small place. But 200 dwarves in a mountain pass that are ready for war are a formidable obstacle. And so they could easily repel 200 barbarians or 200 Cormyrians. Whether they could repel 200 barbarians supported by, I don't know, aerial cavalry and sorcerers and stuff is another question entirely. It just comes down mostly to numbers, because tactically the dwarves have a 10 to 1 advantage being the defenders of a mountain pass.
We really don't know how many barbarians the barbarian king has got with him.
No, particularly if they have any sort of relationship with the orcs, because there are 100,000 orcs out there. And nothing can stop that if anything was ever to organise them. Yeah, that's right. They went and settled in the homeland, and it was just probably never going to work. It's not the first time it's been tried. Probably won't be the last time it's tried.
Hmm.
I guess if you leave Artisan behind with all of your hundreds of pounds of metal, hopefully the barbarians don't come down and attack the place and take it all.
Yeah, Artisan would also hide it, probably in a chest, an arcane locket.
Well, Artisan himself is untouchable with that cloak. He can just disappear.
26 AC.
The cloak of can't hit me.
Yeah.
I do wonder though, if a Cormyrian reprisal does appear, how to handle it.
That would be up to Lady Eleanor to negotiate that.
It would, but there's also a part of her that wants to see this secession ended. Not that she's about to turn her cloak and murder hundreds of innocent dwarves. There's definitely something she'd like to see happen. This secession ended and the land restored to Cormyr. She's definitely on her country's side on this.
Well, it looks like we're going to have to figure out that before we can go to Teliamar anyway. So
Doing for peace is a noble medieval tradition.
Yeah, that would be my argument. I would tell, if we came across any detachment, I would tell them to redirect their efforts to the Civil War, and that when the Civil War concludes, then to think about reconquering this land. And by then, the dwarves will have moved on. Yeah, that would also make that pushing into that pass would cost 500 men.
Or the dwarves are creating an army that could be used to help Cormyria if they help conquer Teliamar, or give some troops effort. We do scratch their back, they scratch ours, and then obviously there's a group of dwarves that don't care who is the boss, and they're happy to stay, and then the ones that want to leave for independence could go to Teliamar. I mean, there's a lot of what ifs, but it doesn't have to be a war. Well, I mean, I'm sure the army of mercenaries will be on our side. So if we say we need to do something in the best interest of this dwarven settlement, that might be also in the best interest of the Cormyr, then we could always make negotiations with the Cormyrians on what it would take to negotiate peace with the dwarves, especially since the dwarves are creating an army. Plus, the party has funds that could be used to buy off some stuff, and there's a lot of different options. But we don't have to just go to Tethymar. We're building a massive army. It's a standing army for the right now, and that could be used. The army has conditions, but it doesn't have to be. The army is a dwarven town, no matter what. If someone starts attacking that town, they're not going to not kill them if they're, no matter if they're humanoid or whatever. If they're attacking a dwarven settlement, they're going to defend it. They don't want to, right? But if they can be negotiated with, and they're going to be under our command. So we can. If it means attacking orcs, if it means doing other things, we could use the army, postpone it. But we don't know. We're just sitting here, so I would, we don't know what the positions are. We just know that the dwarves declared independence. We don't know why. We don't know their. So I would say if we're going to become counselors in this, we need to figure out the other side of the story and ask, drop off the gear that we're holding to that thing in Arabelle, and then start the Cormyrian dialogue with their people.
I guess
I don't want to run that.
If we just head south, if there happens to be a detachment heading this way, we won't miss it. Yeah. I might be able to bog them down in bureaucracy. We'll see.
And we leave the iron and the my vote is that we leave the iron and the leather with artisan, because that could be used in making the stuff. And we just take the one wagon with us down south. That's up to you guys how you want to sell that.
I think Archer should just come with us, because once we take Tethermill, we're probably going to have like a massive downtime for him to do any crafting he wants.
I think we're going to be jumping around from peace negotiation to this to fighting someone and doing that. So I don't know if there's ever going to be downtime to build.
All right, then I guess we're heading south.
All right.
Are we going south with artisan, or what is artisan doing? That's
So
the $1 million question.
Artisan as a character would probably want to craft, but I guess I'd leave it up to the party if you're all right with losing him and replacing him with another.
Well, we're not really losing him.
Yeah, just for a temporary point in time.
It's still there.
Yeah,
I would say, what do you want to do? It's your experience.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
If we're
there will be
if we're
time
going to
when-
have a year or two or downtime anyways, I guess he can just join the party.
I don't think there's going to be a year or two of downtime, but I think we're going to be doing Hercules feats from now on until a year or two happens.
Well, I think we would have a year or two of downtime because we're just going down to not Tethymar, down to negotiate with Cormyr, and then returning giving the items to whoever is receiving them, and then heading back, right?
Well, that's not going to be. Then we're going to have to do. We don't know what's going to happen. My
And there's
expectations
invading drow, invading barbarians.
Yeah, we're not going to be sitting on our ass for 2 years, so.
All right, let's get it started. So we bid farewell to Harndorf. How many days have we spent here? So we spend the first night. How many days after the first day? So we basically get everything done in the first day. Oh, it's a holiday.
Why don't we
Do
just
we
say
head
we
off?
spend a week there, a 10-day there?
Okay,
We'll just
excellent,
spend a 10
excellent.
day.
So that's good. So we spend 10 days there, and in that 10 days, there is no reprisal. And that's important, because if the Sembians, if the Cormyrians really cared, if this was like a matter of personal honor, if it had happened during the reign of King Azun IV, you can bet your bottom copper piece that they would have, if not sent an army, then at very least sent a diplomat. And they didn't do either. They just don't respond at all. That's probably telling in its own way. Not responding in 2 or 3 days is one thing. Not responding in 10 is not negligent. It's deliberate. All right. So you head down the pass, and it's going to be 100 miles. And when we reach Slingdyke, which is a relatively insignificant town at the base of the mountain range, that is a human town, but there's quite a few dwarves in here. As we were getting closer to this town of a few hundred people, a heavily armed patrol of purple dragons, which is the military, the army. They're wearing splint mail, they're riding horses, there's about 7 of them, and they're led by a purple dragon knight, by a noble-born officer who was probably a landowner, even though he doesn't look like he's been shaving for more than a year or two. The knight isn't wearing a helmet. The rest of them are wearing helmets. And as you come down the mountain, they see you coming and they charge up towards you. Their lances are lowered, but instead of charging into you at a range of about 100 feet or something, they rear up their horses quite spectacularly and begin making accusations. "Travellers from the north," they say. "Why have you come to Cormyr?"
What an unnecessary show you put on there. I am Lady Eleanor Varen, and these are my companions.
"Lady Eleanor, you say? Ha ha! More like a bandit wearing Lady Eleanor's face. I can not imagine a good noblewoman of Cormyr would travel with the likes of this."
Well, allow me to.
He
Oh
does,
dear.
but he can't keep his eyes off off Finnick either. Like, Finnick is just too exceptional not to notice.
These are strange times, my good fellow. Allow me to come closer, and I will prove my claim.
If you come closer, then then your illusions will maintain, I am sure. I know the ways of sorcerers and hags.
I have physical proof of my authority.
Make a persuasion roll, for he is deeply suspicious.
Can you slap a guidance on it? No, never mind. You don't need it.
Alright, he sends some of his soldiers forward to go and check out your credentials.
I show them my signet ring and my scroll of pedigree, all the official documentation.
Gosh. He tried the common soldier with his dirty hands tries to take your scroll of pedigree.
I open it for him before he can reach for it.
It looks real, sir. He's a little bit confused now, and a little abashed. So he rides up and looks you over. "Lady Eleanor, you are travelling with unusual company. Have you fallen under some witch's spell?"
No, I assure you. I am simply returning from my journey to the north, minus my companion I set out with, unfortunately. I picked up these companions along the way, and they have proven to be quite faithful and useful, even if they are a little unusual.
"Ah, yes. I had almost forgotten that you had a companion." And he seems to share a private joke with his soldiers who snigger.
If something is funny, I would hear it.
Oh, nothing. How is your companion? Did you did you break apart?
I believe she perished in the Anarok Desert.
Oh, I'm very sorry to hear that, madam.
And so you should be. Anyway,
Madam, I am afraid that I cannot let you pass.
and why not?
I can let you
Nancy?
pass, but I cannot let the others pass. I would not dare to hinder your progress, madam, but travelers from the north are not permitted into Cormyr.
Under whose authority?
Under the authority of the Lady Lord Morwen, sir, ma'am. Lady Lord Morwen of Arabelle has specifically decreed that there shall be no one coming in from the north. She fears the plague, ma'am. Lady, my lady.
Well, you can be assured that neither I nor my companions are afflicted with this plague.
I will have to strip them, my lady.
Is such a procedure really necessary?
My lady, the plague manifests as a decorative flaming tattoo on the skin. It is easily observable to the naked eye when the target is naked to the eye.
Does this tattoo always manifest in the same place?
No, I don't. Does it? I don't think so, my lady.
First time hearing of this.
Oh, well, this is Lady Morwen's. The Lady Lord Morwen has my lady has ordered this, my lady.
Yes. True, I guess you are
I
technically naked, aren't you?
Yeah.
I normally would not permit anyone into the realm at all. But well, with your distinguished man, I could not possibly turn back your entourage. Yet it would be irresponsible of me not to look at them, my lady.
I sigh heavily and look to the rest of the party. What say you to this outrageous demand? I
They
will not
want to look
force-
at a.
Yeah, I will not force you to do anything, just so you know. If you refuse, you do not have to.
If
Or-
She would be flaming. Or is just like, bitch, I'm a piece of work, and she
Well,
fucking takes
Lady
off his clothes.
Eleanor is more of a noblewoman going to be searched by common soldiers. That would be.
No.
Right.
No. Lady Eleanor is above reproach. She can pass, but the rest of you cannot.
That's what I assumed.
If you be getting your fancy off of looking at a naked dwarf, have your way at it.
It is the requirements of the Lady Lord, sir.
You could be telling her how much I have for her too. And I sarcastically gesture down there as I start taking off my plate.
Are you questioning my Lady Lord's honor, man? I mistakenly called you sir. Now I mistakenly call you man, dwarf.
Let us not go there, good fellow.
She'd be the
Do
one
not-
wanting me to get naked.
Yeah, do not
I'm
forget
just doing
that
it
you
what
are the
she's
one.
wishing.
Yeah, do not forget that you are the one encroaching upon his honor by asking to see him naked.
I'm just saying you could tell her about it. What's a surprise dwarves might be having down between their legs.
Artisan, instead of taking off his cloak, Artisan would like kind of try to distract him with saying that an artificial being such as myself can't contract such a plague.
He takes that on face value.
So Mo takes an hour to take off his plate and
Oh no.
Wow.
put it back on.
They decide to stop for lunch.
Yeah.
You still have that poison?
Similar process with Sildarin.
Yeah, I was going to say,
What-
what's Darren and Finnick's opinion of this? So I did say
Yeah.
you don't have to.
Well, you'd be telling me now before I take it off.
Find it relatively amusing.
The same way they do it with someone with fur, although they enjoy doing it with Finnick because he's got nice
Oh, I
soft
don't let
fur.
them touch me.
Oh, you're not going to let him touch you?
No, I'm going
They-
to try to use this feature to be like, but I can directly speak to the Queen about my own thing, and she can check herself to try to bypass it and just never let her touch me either.
Brilliant. Well, they don't accept your reasoning at first, but you're just so bouncy and quick that when they eventually give up. And the guy who was going to search you is really sad because you look so soft and fluffy. He's going to rub his fingers through your fur while he carefully inspects it. But you deny him that simple pleasure.
Yeah, I'll also be watching this inspection like a hawk. If he tries anything, I'd definitely speak up about it.
Then you
Am I
might
still-
get almost as grossed out as the guy who searches the Kenku does, because underneath their feathers, the Kenkus are really, really oily. They have a curse left over from their days when they were cursed by a particular individual who probably shouldn't be named, and a factor of that entity is its oily feathers. So when you get deep into Flightless's feathers enough and start massaging it, your fingers come out all dirty and grimy and oily, and it's absolutely disturbing and disgusting. And he quickly stops. So Carrick doesn't get particularly Flightless rather doesn't get particularly well searched, and Finnick doesn't get searched at all.
I also want to note that my Steel Defenders just has his big eyeball on him, standing beside him the whole time.
They stay away from that thing. Like, that thing looks dangerous. A mecha crocodile? No. In my day, we didn't have mecha crocodiles, and the world was a better place for it.
Treat him as a loyal dog.
Moog, with his 18 strength, just jumps up there and buck naked on top of the thing on the car. Says,
Oh,
"You got a good look there. You see what you need to be seeing. Swinging it."
is this necessary, sir? Calls back the guy who's going to do the searching.
his cock. Is this the point where we roll
I do
for
believe
dick
that the
size?
dwarf has no tattoos.
Do we roll for dick size on this?
We don't have to. I'm not going to obligate you to.
There you go. So Moog gets his gear back on in another hour.
The knight is
Cannot be
humiliated
unseen.
by all of this. Sorry?
Some things cannot be unseen.
Indeed, this is burned into your memory, and now when someone casts detect thoughts on you, there's a 10% chance that your surface thought is scarred by what you have seen here today, and it's humiliated the knight. It's absolutely humiliated this purple dragon knight that he has forced a lady to sit through such a farce when he could have just taken her word on it from the start, and he doesn't really say many other words after this, and the ones that he does say are quite apologetic. The
Just seeing
road
a
to
man half his
Arabelle
size.
is clear.
Seen a man half his size with a dick twice as big. It's humiliated.
I guess that
I'd
is a
ask
humbling
him,
experience.
I'd ask him before we leave of the situation to the north of the seeding dwarves, and if he's heard anything about a Cormyrian response.
It's true then. The dwarves have truly declared independence. I had heard a rumor, but I didn't give it a second thought, really.
It's only a rumor.
Why
I
would
would've
they?
thought-
Well,
Go ahead.
I didn't take it seriously. I don't think anyone has.
Well, it's quite true, unfortunately. I guess
What
no
do you
one
mean,
thought-
independence?
they would claim that land for themselves.
They're not part of Cormyr anymore.
Apparently not. Although I am.
That's what
certain that
independence means, sir. Says one of his troops helpfully.
Although I
I
am
know what
hoping to
independence means.
I am hoping to set events in motion to solve this situation.
How will you do that, my lady?
There's an ancient homeland of the dwarves that I'm hoping in coming months that they will relocate to. Those who wish to. And those that stay, I'm hoping I can convince them to once again accept Cormyrian rule and give up on the idea of secession.
Ah, I'll get rid of the troublemakers, my lady. Good thinking.
Not quite like that. Seeing as it is just a rumor now, I would ask that you keep it to yourself.
Oh, everyone knows, my lady. It's being talked about in the tavern. It just seems like codswaddle, that's all. Why, the dwarves are dependent upon us. They wouldn't know how to stand on their own two legs.
I mean, keep the rumor's authenticity to yourself. I'd rather
Oh, yes, my lady.
I'd rather not have your lady learn that it is true, not just yet.
Well, right you are, my lady. We shall keep our lips sealed.
Very well. We shall be on our way.
Can I slap an insight on that?
Absolutely. Go ahead, both of you.
It's not an advantage, but a nat 20.
Another one.
Again, nat 20 insight.
The pair of you look at each other, and you both look at each other really dubiously, and you look back at this lying shit, and he can't wait to tell everyone about this. This is big news. He is going to be a more important knight because he will go to everyone. Oh, and have you heard that dwarven independence thing? It's genuine. They actually believe they can be independent.
Can
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, sure.
Artisan, I guess, would message Eleanor and be like, he lies. Should we strike them down?
No. He has every right to inform his lady if he wishes. He is her retainer, after all. But I would ask that you hold off for at least a little while. Hundreds of lives could depend upon it.
Can we try to intimidate them?
Yeah. That's what I'm attempting, the persuasion. I'm asking
Yeah,
him
right.
to...
Go ahead, make a persuasion roll.
I'm
Hold
not
off for a few days.
Yeah. Bird flies over to your
But not
shoulder
telling
and
your
gives you-
liege.
Oh. 23, 23, 23.
Not tell. Indeed. Not telling my lady liege lord, ma'am, would be a terrible offence, but due to the indignity that I have forced you to suffer through, I feel that I owe you this personal favour, and I should not judge the opinions of my betters. Though, and he pulls you aside at this point and speaks quietly. My lady, do you think that perhaps you have become too heavily influenced by the dwarf? Would it not be wiser to inform your betters of this conspiracy, of the truth of the matter?
Oh, trust me, I would like to see that land return to Cormyr as much as any true Cormyrian. But the dwarves have the advantage there, and it might take 500 men to take that pass. I'd rather avoid such unnecessary bloodshed.
Aye, they will be men that I know who die in such an encounter. I too would not like to see them killed for nothing. I care greatly about my men, says this 17-year-old fella.
Yes,
As you do.
Exactly, and those men would be much better suited fighting for Cormyr itself,
Yes.
given the current situation with the Civil War.
Is it true that they have a red wizard among the dwarves, my lady?
A red wizard?
A
Do they?
red wizard of Thay.
Hmm. Did I see anybody like that among the crowds?
I don't think we did, no.
I'll say no. I don't
Should-
believe that I did.
Can we do some check to see
Oh.
if, like, we did?
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone interacted with them. We would have, it probably would have come up if we'd met one.
Yeah, tell him no, I didn't see one.
Ah,
Yes.
rumors abound, my lady.
And Mo goes, and aye, lads, don't be forgetting to tell him what you saw here today. If the rumors be true, you're either going to be dreaming about it, or it's going to be your worst nightmare. I'm going to give him a wink.
Just shake my head. Pray forgive the behavior of this one.
A pox on dwarves.
I wouldn't go that far, but rudeness answered with rudeness, I suppose.
Mo's a soldier, and a soldier just told him to dress down. What would a soldier do to another soldier that told him to do that? Exactly what Mo did.
Soldier. He's a knight. Better than you.
Would the phrase here be hung like a centaur? Just curious.
Mo's a knight. He's a Templar. He's a Knights Templar.
Ooh, touche.
Ooh, he just insulted your honor. Ooh.
Mo insulted his. It's all been Cold War.
Yeah. Yeah. We're past that now. All right. And so the knight and his entourage will escort you all the way down to Sling Dyke, and from there, if you wish, they'll take you all the way to Arabelle.
I believe we can make our own way there. I'd rather not deprive you of your duties to patrol the north.
He shall not interfere.
Alright.
Where does he leave us at?
A small town called Sling Dyke. It's just a nothing town, a bit of a garrison town on the edge of the northern frontier.
Nearly the halfway point. A little more than.
Yeah, it's only another 50 miles to go. I can't remember if we're mounted or not.
We are.
Probably
We bought
not.
horses and stuff before we
Yeah.
left. And I believe we
Well,
still
it'll
have
take
our
you,
caravan.
Do we bring the carts or do we leave them? Well, since you're with us and we got everything.
Where were we planning to sell
yeah.
all that stuff that we bought?
Well, Cormyr was the place that needed the iron for the Civil War.
Well, this is a big city we're going to. It's a good place to sell it.
Probably 40,000 people. Small city, big town. Yeah.
Well, if Artisan was going to be making a lot of stuff, he could be using the iron and the leather for his crafting.
I'm sure that some artisans have a lot of iron. Well, artificers have a lot of iron. Or dwarves in general.
With carts, it'll take us probably 2 days. Sildarin, can you roll a d20, please?
Somehow gets another 23.
Very good. Okay. So, what are you doing during the traveling time, Sildarin Stormblessed? What's a day's travel routine for you?
Pretty mundane, I would guess. I think
How do you
I'm
pass
driving
the
the
time?
wagon. That,
There we go.
Of
course you are.
That has the coffin in it, so I'd be largely engaged with that task, I would think, for most of the time.
Very good. So from your elevated position up on the wagon, sitting up higher than most other people, you'll see up ahead. There's been a fair bit of rain recently, but there's been a fair bit of rain all season. The last 3 months has been rain half the time. When we leave Sling Dyke until when we head towards Arable, there's a lot of rain. And you'll notice that the rivers are starting to swell and puddles are starting to form in the ditches alongside of the road. And from your vantage point up on the caravan where you're driving, you can see that up ahead, a large armored caravan, a big heavily weighed down thing that's got plated steel on the outside, has tried to cross a bridge in a swollen river, and the bridge has buckled, and one of the pylons has given way, and now the bridge is tilted at like a 30-degree angle with one side of it submerged, and that means that the overloaded armored wagon is partly submerged too, so it's kind of still on the bridge, which is kind of still assembled, and it's kind of in the river, but the river mustn't be too deep because it looks like it's lodged there in the mud. So the wagon is half in the mud, 1/3 in the mud, 1/3 in the river, 1/3 on the bridge, and you're the first to see it from your vantage point up on the wagon.
Is it abandoned, or is there people milling around it?
There's a lot of people around it, armoured people mostly, a good number of guards, 20 guards on the far side, and I think 30 guards on our side. So it's a huge armoured caravan with a veritable army of supporters, and it's flying the Zentarim's flags.
I kind of want to send my bird ahead and see if they are the people flying the Zentarum colors, or is the carriage?
The caravan, and the guards are wearing their surcoats, Zentarum surcoats.
Strange. What are they doing this far south?
How far were we when we first noticed them?
In the 10 days that I had, how many bombs would I have been able to make?
You probably noticed them from about a distance of about 1,000 feet, and you haven't made any bombs.
Okay.
Moog says to Eleanor, Lady Eleanor, maybe time to get in character and ask them what they're about. This be your lands, isn't it?
Indeed. I won't suffer their presence here. Although there are an awful lot of them. I think I count maybe 50, perhaps more.
Yeah, make a perception check, yeah.
Slap a guidance on it. Huh.
Good call. Yeah.
I recommend going up and saying, ask them what they'd be doing on your lands. This is an agent of Cormyr.
I definitely would like to know. Well, if things turn ugly, it could get very bad very quickly.
Is there like an alcove or something that we can, or a collection of trees that we could park the wagons at?
Trees, yes, and alcove, no. So as for the numbers, 20 guards are on the far side of the river, and that's where their commander is as well, a guy riding a white horse who's trying to direct this debacle. 30 guards are on our side, plus another 5 elites. I'm not sure what to call them. Black Knights, I suppose. Maybe that's too high. But anyway, sub commanders maybe. So 30 soldiers plus a few sub commanders and 3 supply wagons are on ours. So they've tried to send the armored wagon across the bridge first. It's collapsed, and now their supply wagons are on our side of the river. They're getting out there with ropes and with chains and are trying to be creative. People are swimming into the river and tying them on, but the rain just keeps coming down, heavily down. And yeah, we're about 1,000 feet, maybe even further away when we notice them from an elevated position. We're coming from the highlands, heading into the lower lands, so we've got the height advantage.
Roll for initiative.
Yeah.
They're southbound as well, by the sounds of it.
Absolutely.
Do we want to kind of hide the carts?
Well, first I'd ask Sildarin, our newest companion, how he feels about the Zentarum, because if he doesn't want to get into a potentially life-threatening situation over something he doesn't really care about, then I'm not going to force him into it.
Sildarin?
Yeah, much of the reason why I'd come searching for you lot in the Northlands was what I'd heard of your opposition to the Zentarum. So they're no friends of they and their god are no friends of mine.
I see. So if things turn violent, you'll stand with us, even against so many?
Most definitely.
Very well, I'm right glad to have your aid. Well then, let's find a safe spot for these carts and question their purpose here, though I feel it will not be as simple as that.
Do you inform us that you can control water in character?
Me?
Yeah.
I was just reading that spell because I've never actually had contact.
Okay.
I say we use the carts
to do that. But yes,
I
as
say
I'm
we
reading
use
it,
the
I
cart.
could cause it to flood.
I say we use the carts as a distraction, and we just look like a caravan and get as close as possible. Carts be hardy. We can jump off.
Well, I suppose we can do that when we get closer.
Does Moog want to don that black gauntlet?
Oh. Yeah. Moog be wiping his arse with a Zentarum. He doesn't need it again. Burn it.
Well,
Roll for initiative, motherfuckers.
Well, let us do it then.
Moog just rubs his hammer and says, "Whenever your boys would be done talking, I'll be ready." It just follows whatever you want to do, because it's going to end up in a scrap.
I believe that it will.
Are we proceeding on foot, or are we riding the wagons closer?
Well, we could detach the horses from the wagons if we want to ride in mounted. I have my own horse. Although these horses attached to the wagons are probably not war horses.
I say we ride up on the caravan, and then you go talk to him and say what you be doing, and then we get close enough, and you decide if it's time to jump them or not.
Very well.
Stay with the caravan. I could fight on top of this vehicle just as well as I can fight on the ground.
Well, let us do it then.
Artisan's going to have his shield doffed and bow in hand.
Go.
Moog has his crossbow loaded and under a cloak or under a pelt or whatever's next to him on his. So at least he'll get one shot with the crossbow before he jumps off.
Yeah, a good application of control water could definitely even the odds a bit.
Yeah, Saldaran will say, if we're going to approach, let's not get too close. It can likely cause the river to wash most of them away if needs be, but it'd be a shame to wash some of you away at the same time.
Is that right? Well, quite conveniently, they seem to be split on opposite sides of the river. Well, the 20 are on the opposite side, unfortunately.
Lady Eleanor,
Mm.
why don't you be right up to them and say, this is your personal caravan, and it's full of goods going back, and you're a high council of the Cormyrians, and ask what they be doing.
I'll
And we'll
certainly be
be
asking. So I'll certainly be asking what they're doing, and more than likely, I will try to confiscate that wagon of theirs and its contents. And I don't think that will go down very well.
they might be buying off your government.
Possibly. Oh, I shudder to think it. Oh, no. Just occurred to me. The war wizards are the faction we're currently fighting against in this civil war. Perhaps the Zentarum are here to aid them. In which case, all the more reason to be rid of them. Okay, then. Yes, so let us
Never
do
need
so.
much of a good reason to get rid of Zentarum.
So we're approaching, I guess.
Yes.
Lady Eleanor up front. Is that what it is? Marching order like we had before?
I'm muted. Is the whole group approaching, or is it just a few individuals?
Like our caravan.
Yeah,
But
cool. All right. Well, as we get closer, they send out some riders towards us. They see us coming, and someone dispatches some riders, and out they go. So there's a group of 3 riders that are coming towards us. Riders? Yeah, probably. No, they're probably foot soldiers actually. So they send 3 foot soldiers up towards us.
How far away are we when we meet them?
We're 1,000 feet to begin with, 1,200, something like that. They're sending their things on foot. We're traveling a little bit faster because our wagons slow us down, but we could obviously trot up ahead as well if we want to. So we're probably going to meet at about the 500 foot mark, 500 feet from the rear of their caravans. But you could get closer to them by hurrying, or let them walk further by taking your time. But 500 feet is the default.
When I see the foot soldiers start to head our way, and
Yeah.
doing the math in my head, and it looks like that's about the distance where we're gonna meet them. Say we'll need to get a little closer if we're gonna use the river against them. Make haste.
Let's pick
Ideally, we try and get to within 300 feet of the river before we meet the foot soldiers.
So we leave our baggage train behind?
no, we keep going. We keep it all. We stay on the cart like we're just given no reason to. We're going to get as close as possible in our baggage train after we meet these guys.
So that'll be 500 feet. If we stick with the baggage train, then we've done the math. And
yeah.
Yeah.
True.
And Sildarin would have to go with the advanced group so they can be within 300 feet.
Yep. All on horses? I guess all on horses, otherwise you wouldn't be worth it. Obviously on horses. You have a thought, Mug?
I think that's a wise plan. I think all we can send up is 2 though, because Karrakin is the only one that has, or Flightless has the only other horse. So Flightless would have to switch. cylinder.
I guess me
Because the
and
rest of
Centaur
us
may
are
have-
driving the bike, the cage. I mean, the rest of us are on the carts.
Yeah, true. I guess. Although Carrot could be mounted on my horse, like.
There you
behind me.
go. Yep. So Pyro's driving that cart.
Yeah.
Alrighty then, sounds good.
All right. So those of you who sent out the advance party, get them at about the 300-foot mark, and these soldiers are running up to you. Whoa, whoa, whoa! You will have to turn back. Find an alternate route. The bridge is given way. There's no access. Go around.
Don't worry, I have other business to ask about. You are the Zentarum, clearly. What business have you in these lands?
Merchant business, my lady. He judges you to be like a knight or something. They have women knights down here, right? How weird. Mercantile business, my lady. Important shipments have to get through, though it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do so. Sure, yeah, make a history check, yeah. Well, Lady Eleanor should probably make it.
My history is not very good,
Yeah.
but try it.
No, yeah, even yeah, for sure. There's nothing illegal about sending them through. They are just a mercantile outfit. They're a sinister one, um, but there's no specific law against the Zentarum operating in Camp Cormyr.
Yeah, which is why my plan was to confiscate their wagons with my authority, which will inevitably turn things violent. And if it doesn't turn violent, then we've gained the contents of their wagons and undermined them. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm a noble, I suppose. Got a great deal of power. I'm not sure how far it extends, though. Could I stop?
I guess this is a grey area. This is a this is a grey
Could I
area.
stop like a merchant wagon, like say they weren't flying Zentarum colors, and just stop them on the road and say, "I'm confiscating a wagon."
Absolutely.
The short answer is yes. Yeah, yeah. Well, the long answer is these are uncertain times, and these aren't your lands, or are they your lands? Are you from Arabelle?
Not Arabelle. I'm further to the south, Marsemba.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So the short answer is yes, but there are questions of jurisdiction, there are questions of prudence, there are
Yeah.
questions of legitimacy, and reputation.
Yeah, it's definitely a gross abuse of power.
Exactly. Exactly right.
Yeah,
Contraband. Looking for contraband.
Yeah, that's to inspect will be my first course of action. So I'll say I'll announce myself, my full title, and tell them that I wish to search the contents of these wagons to
Oh,
make
you
sure
can't do
no-
that, my lady. No, you can't do that, my lady. The captain is on the other side of the river.
I suppose I shall have to go to the other side and speak with him then.
Very well, my lady. I and he doesn't know what to say to that. It's like that's a brilliant idea, actually. Yeah, sure.
As you do.
Looked at the rabbit, and the rabbit's wondering if he can jump 60. She can jump 60 feet.
Well, go ahead and inform your commander. I'll be speaking with him shortly.
Yes, my lady. I shall make sure that he knows that you are present in camp.
Right, and I'll direct us to ride back to the wagons and tell everyone else what we spoke about. I'll say that told us that we couldn't because the captain has to authorize it. I said, "All right, we'll speak to the captain." So that's that's the current plan.
Roll for initiative.
Sure. Although we'll have to wade across to the other side.
I would say you'd be using your power now and tell them we're searching. If they want to get physical and stop us, then we can deal with that. We'll subdue the ones that put up a fight quickly and see if the rest flee.
Well, you see, while I could do that, it is. Yeah, I mean,
We don't have to
are-
be killing them.
these
I could
are the
just be-
Zentarum, I suppose, but regardless, it is a gross abuse of power, and as a noble, I always have my reputation to uphold.
Well, maybe our country's under Zentarum influence with their money. And
Yes,
this is
more
what's
than likely.
corrupting your people. Maybe the dwarves left for a good reason. Maybe that's why your country's crumbling, is because it's being eaten out by the evils. But
More than
what am I
likely,
to know?
but we are civilized people, and things must be done a certain way. I can hardly just ride down there and order them to hand over all of their goods. Well, I suppose I could, but
You could order them to search their vehicle for contraband, and if they persist, it's resisting the authority of the clan.
well,
That by itself is means to take it to the next level.
well, I would be speaking a lot of hot air at that point. Honestly, these are the lands of Arabelle, and I am not of this region. I would have.
Isn't it under Cormyrian? One country.
Well, yes, but each noble family has dominion over different parts of the realm, and of course, we all report to the crown.
Maybe this part of the crown is being influenced with trade with the Zentarum. Maybe it's against in your best wishes to take a look. It's
That's
in my
what I'll
best
say.
wishes.
They
That's what
also
I'll
may
say.
not know that.
Well, have your way of talking. I'll be waiting.
Shall we approach as a group to the riverbank, or just a few of us?
Yeah, why don't we just pull the carts up? We'll just pull the carts up next, like we don't give them the edge that we're just gonna. We all disbanded and started marching towards them. They'd know the gig's up. So why don't we just act like merchants and
Authoritative. Yes. So I suppose we can, I don't know, pull the wagons up near the riverbank's fine with me.
not too close so they get washed though. We don't pull them over there, we get washed away. We pull them up close enough where we don't give alarm. But up higher than the riverbanks, so if we're gonna cascade water down, we don't lose our gear.
Did my defender go with you three to the other side?
Well, I'm planning to ask the commander to come across to us, but if he doesn't, then we will have to go to him.
I'm pretty sure if you start
Also-
searching the carts, the commander will be coming.
True. Let's head over there then.
All right. So when you get within, say, about 200 feet or so, 150 feet, the a detachment of soldiers comes up to try to direct you to go around. You know, like you're bringing your carts. Okay, you just no, don't come any further. Fucking go around. Find a new road. Go back. Or make a road. I don't care, but don't come any further. And this is about the 200-foot mark.
Don't tell me what to do. I am Lady Eleanor Veyren. I shall do as I
I'm
please.
sorry. I'm sorry, my lady. I'm sorry, my lady. You can't come any closer. This shipment is protected. It's protected by international trade law, and if you come near it, then we have the authority to defend it. You'll have to go around, my lady.
I must
Is the
use
international trade law a thing here?
Sort of into
He's
sort
got
of
authority though. You can search shipments coming into.
term is. Yeah.
This isn't diplomatic packages that can be unsealed. She has authority to search packages as a noblewoman coming into her country. She doesn't have to steal it, but they have to go through
Yeah, but
customs and borders patrols. Doesn't mean they can.
it's yes, sir. Okay. The inspector can come forward and wait for the captain, but the rest of you stay back. All your guards, all your horses, just keep them back there, okay? Keep them back.
Well, the lady must have some form of protection.
I've got an idea. I'll say very well, and I'll agree to their terms. And then when they leave, I'll lean over to Suldaran and the rest of the party and say, should things turn ugly and they try to eliminate me, I have the ability to fly for a short period of time. So when I take wing, Sildarin, that'll be your cue to wash them away.
You can hold your action for that too, so the second it happens.
Very well.
Generally not. Unless it triggers before that happens.
I think that'd be a brilliant plan. We got your back.
Alright, I'll ride up solo up to the caravan.
Will they permit the Steel Defender at least to go with her?
It's mainly just the whole thing from going up there. It's like no, keep your shit back there. But as long as it's just a group of people, then they don't seem to really mind. They got too many problems to deal with that they can't individually stop a group of armed individuals who have some authority anyway. So the short answer is no.
I can rebuild them after a long rest.
So I mean,
Eleanor begins
Lady Eleanor
way up
by
there.
herself is fine.
Cast
We got
water
her
walk
back.
on myself.
What was that, Sildarin?
As Eleanor begins to make her way towards the river, I'm just going to cast water walk on myself in preparation.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'll trot on down there. I'm not sure whether I have the Steel Defender as company or not. Regardless, I'll head up there.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you get if you just wait here, ma'am, then the captain. No, they don't expect you to wait here. They think that you're going to go over to see him. So they just wait for you to go past, and they think that you're going to go over and speak to the captain somehow.
Well, I'll walk up to the riverbank and then yell out to try and attract his attention.
All right, walk onto the riverbank.
River?
Not so far. It's about 40 feet across in the narrowest part, and the bridge isn't built on the narrowest part for some reason. But anyway, so it's about 40 feet across. It's pretty torrential. The banks are broken, and he's up on his horse, and he sees you there. Lady Eleanor, it is a pleasure to meet you, with his Sembian accent.
I just kind of cringed. Oh god, of course he's a Zambian. I basically tell him that I'm going to. I can't find the words, so I'm telling him that I'm gonna. So I would like to search his cart for contraband.
Why is that necessary? You know that the Zentarum is an honest organization, well established in this area, and we have no problems with Cormyrian politics.
Be that as it may, I am simply exercising my right to ensure that no nefarious items make it into this country. These are troubling times, after all.
What items would you consider to be nefarious, my lady?
Well, I couldn't tell you that, else you might try to hide them from my sight.
You catch me with my pants down, my lady. I am in a precarious position, and I am not sure that I have the ability to resist you. After all, you are traveling with known killers, are you not?
Known killers?
Yes, yes, monsters, nothing less than monsters.
Do you speak merely of their racial origin, or do you know of their reputation?
It may be I refer to both. After all, what is on the inside is sometimes reflected outside. That is why Sembians are so good looking, you know.
Of this, it is irrelevant. I wish to search your wagons, and I will do so.
My lady, I must implore you not to. It would be a grave offense against the Black Network to show that you have no trust in our mutual relations. It would only drive the Zentarum closer to your enemies.
And who might my enemies be?
Oh, I don't think you have any enemies, but perhaps you will make some by this action.
I just can't help but smirk a little at that. Like, I've already made an enemy of Bane himself. Like, how worse of a hole could I dig myself into? So I'll say it's happening. You still have
Very
objections
well.
to that?
Make a persuasion roll, since you know, there's not much he can do, and you're on the other side of the river, and you travel with monster killers.
It's not too good.
You could be signing it to me, and I'm just relaying it to the others.
It would be a terrible shame, my lady, if violence were to occur over this. My people outnumber you 10 to 1.
Maybe so. But even if you succeeded in killing me, what of the damage to your own reputation, killing a Cormyrian noblewoman?
Make an intimidate check.
Oof.
Where's intimidate? There it is.
And his face darkens, for this is a simple truth. If he fights you here, win or lose, then he will never personally be allowed in Cormyr again, and the Zhentarum's trade relations will be severely damaged. But if he kills you, then that will make him a fugitive in this country, and that would be a true diplomatic incident. So he backs down and gets tries to find some way across the river, but there is no way. So he'll work on that. He'll work on commissioning a rowboat from a nearby village or something, or just building a raft. But in the meantime, he can't stop you, so he doesn't give you the authority to do so. Indeed, he asks you to wait for him, but it could take him days to cross the river. So the run of the wagons is yours.
Right. I'll yell back, I'm so glad you finally decided to acquiesce. And I'll beckon for everyone else to approach.
No, not acquiesce, my lady. Just wait for me. I will assist you momentarily.
Momentarily? You think you will momentarily cross this raging torrent before you? I have not the luxury of time
He
to
looks
wait.
at the brown water in front of him. Just a few minutes! And he disappears.
We approach.
All right.
I disregard him and
There you are.
beckon him over.
Yeah.
It takes that long for us to roll the wagon up there anyway, and so now we have our armoured entourage, or just crowding around these Zentarum soldiers. There's about 35 of them, and a few of those are experienced veteran warriors, but you have a reputation, you people, whether or not you realise it. You are news to people, and they recognise who you are, and they can't stop you, so they don't try. It might mean all of their deaths later, but it will certainly mean their deaths now if they do. The commander isn't even here to back them up. They don't exactly step
So
aside, but
Moog walks up and rips apart one of the canvases over whatever's underneath the carts.
a guy tries to get in your way. Two guys try to sort of block your way. They don't raise their spears, they just raise their shields and try to bounce you away with their shields. What do you do?
I'm a shield master, so I'd send him 5 feet flying.
these 16-year-old soldiers are just toppled over. Give them a medal for bravery. At least they stood up for the Zentarum, but the 20-year-olds didn't. Right.
Still Defender's just going to stand over him and look at him with his giant eyeball, and it's like, what did we learn?
Yeah.
So what do we
You
have
won't
in the
miss
carts? The closest
What do
one
we
to
have
us.
in the cart? Okay.
I do the same with like Tinker's tools or something along those lines.
Absolutely. So you guys doing the secret checks, make investigation, or if you want, Tinker's tools or thieves' tools, perhaps, or something like that. A skill that you think is appropriate. Probably gonna take more than a minute.
So
Yeah.
Moog points at the 2 idiots that tried to stop him and says, "Get up, boys. It's time to start unloading your carts." And that's the best way to go through it. Is unload the cargo.
There's a
And
28.
then he points at some other ones and tells them to start helping. You could
There's
do
a
it,
lot
or
of
I could
stuff
do
here.
it. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff here, and it's raining, and so
That's
we
fine.
might ruin some of this stuff by taking it out in the rain because it includes wheat.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
We are portraying this
Sure.
as just basically investigating a car. We're not trying to actively sabotage. Does a 28 get me anything shiny?
Well, it might in a moment. So
Okay.
we open up the carts, and there's wheat. Lots and lots of wheat. Big sacks of it. Potatoes. Hundreds of pounds of potatoes. Beef. Salted beef. One of the wagons is loaded with wheat. One of the wagons is loaded with potatoes. One of the wagons is loaded with beef. There's a few other items in there as well, but it's mainly food, and a ton of food. Each wagon carrying a full 2,000 pounds of wheat or potatoes or beef. There are also a bunch of tents, 5 of them, 5 10-man tents. These are enormous tents. 5 big 10-man tents, suitable for an entourage like ours, presumably. If they had known they were going to get stuck here, they probably would have put the tents up. But they look like they got dirty bases where they're driven into the ground daily. Also a marquee, a big central tent that would act like a mess hall or possibly a command tent. It's difficult to tell because it hasn't been assembled. There is also a ton of oil, cooking oil or any sort of oil really. It's all pretty generic, and so there's a ton of cooking oil. Again, 2,000 pounds of it. what we might deem camping supplies, or maybe more accurately, military supplies, the sort of thing that an army are going to need on a daily basis, cups and pots, and things to repair boots with, and sewing needles and so on. And lots of crossbow bolts. All in all, you find 10 packs of 100 crossbow bolts for a total of 1,000 crossbow bolts. And this is, we haven't searched the main the armored wagon that has collapsed the bridge, but these 3 supply wagons, it's just food.
Yeah,
It's on the it's going south. It's going the other way.
this is
Yeah.
definitely a logistics caravan for some sort of army.
Well, we have to see what's in
The
front
documents are in the
first.
armored one in the water.
Is there a separate check for that?
You'd have to get out there. That's difficult. Yeah. Potentially, yeah. Maybe that's basically up to you how you do it. But searching these wagons is simple. Searching an armored wagon on a broken bridge in the middle of a flood is another kettle of fish.
Is there an opening on the wagon that Artisan's steel bird could fly into?
There is in the base a hidden compartment underneath it. So the way you access this is by coming underneath and looking for a trapdoor. Basically, there is a hidden compartment, and you find one in each of these 3 supply wagons.
Oh boy, what might be in there?
Pop it open.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, it hasn't been trapped. Strangely or not, it's just a matter of unlocking it and finding it, unlocking it, removing it. Each of them has gold, lots and lots of gold in the form of trade bars. Each trade bar is worth 250 gold pieces. Each wagon has 40 of them. Total of 120.
This be
Yeah.
looking like it's supporting an army. Which army is
Definitely.
it supporting?
That's a good point, considering the arm's reputation.
Does the bird find the papers of where they're going?
They're in the armored wagon, so no.
Okay, so they had asked if it could go into, if there was a slit or something that it could fit in.
Oh right, no, I thought you were talking about the supply wagons. No, the armored wagon is sealed up.
Okay.
My bet
Does
that
the
the first
current
part has armor in it and weapons. And these are the feeding, and this is what is here to buy the men and support the gold, pay the soldiers.
does the
looks like-
current seem strong enough to take away a 320-pound construct wearing armor?
Well, Sildarin mentioned earlier cast Water Walk, and you can affect 10 creatures with that spell.
Oh, okay.
Very
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sildarin, you've taken care of that problem. It's still a raging river, but that's just kind of like difficult terrain, more or less. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess we could stumble our way across the river.
Very good. Very good. So Sildarin casts the spell, and we walk out onto this unsteady river, and the Zentarum are just le gasp as they
Yeah.
watch these heroes.
Well, Moog is not on the river. Moog has no intention.
All right.
They didn't even see us cast the spell either. We were 1,000 feet away, so they're just legit, just legasp.
Cormyr is really heavily invested in border control recently, and the immigration department is overfunded, man. Overfunded.
Yeah.
It's just a vlog.
Brilliant. It's relatively easy having done that. So once Sildar and cast their spell and we all walk out there, it's just a matter of getting the thing open without it tilting further. And so theoretically it should be easy, but the amount of force that you're going to have to apply to pry this open, because nobody's helping you, they're not giving you the keys in essence. The whole thing is locked up, and in order to pry it open, you could potentially either cause the bridge to collapse further, or for the armored cart to sink deeper into the mud, thus crushing you or potentially drowning you. So there is danger here. How might we've walked out there? That's very, very good, because it means we haven't destabilized the bridge any further. We can operate from 3 dimensions. We can operate from 360 degrees from any angle. How are we now going to get inside this overweighted wagon without making things worse?
Does it take a key?
Well, that's
to
why we
open?
brought a bunch of the cog stuff.
I do not.
We brought all the gear, chains, and block and tackle.
Block
Except
and
that we have
tackle,
2
cool.
in chains.
All right, so you're just rigging chains up to the hard points and trying to drag it out. Is that what we're trying to
Well,
do?
the block and tackle lets you lift, right? And so we have 2 of those, and then we can.
Yeah, the Zentarum will help you if that's what. If you're not just going in there and having a look, if you're actually trying to pull it out of the river, then they're going to give you a hand. All right, finally we're doing something productive. Great, the Zentarum are on board, and so they It will be easier to search, so it suits your purposes. It suits their purposes more or less. You know, like they're bent over a barrel. What are they going to do? So from here, it's relatively easily. We attach the chains to the hard points. You've got 30 Zentarum to give it a pull, and a bunch of horses as well. I don't think we even need to make a roll, because we're not going to fail a check that's DC 15 or something. And so we drag it up onto the bank, onto our bank, notably, not the captain's bank, if that matters. He still hasn't found a way to get across yet. So first of all, what do we want to know? First of all, we want to know the consignment note, or maybe first of all we want to know the cargo. I guess we want to know both. First of all, we need to get in. Getting in is probably not a major problem from here, even if it's locked. Again, we've got we can pick locks. We're not under any pressure, right? So it's just a matter of making some unnecessary rolls. They didn't trap their doors on the off chance that they would fall into a bridge and then have to defend their doors from dungeoneers that are passing by. 500 weapons, 500 assorted melee weapons, axes, swords, military picks, clubs, not clubs, but maces, 500 of them, 50 suits of chainmail, and 50 shields. Not necessarily contraband, suspicious perhaps, but it's not illegal to sell arms and armor in Cormyr. It's part of the fucking 10% of the economy is war.
And
Does it have a secret
America.
compartment like the other?
No secret compartment.
I'm definitely interested in who sent it and where it's going.
They are going to the personal army, or the personal consignment rather, of a fellow called Count Vaughn, who is a Cormyrian up here in the north, a Cormyrian from Arabelle and northern parts of Arabelle region. He was looked over for when they created Gloriana. They could have made Count Vaughn into Duke Vaughn and given him Gloriana, but they gave it to a different guy instead, a Count Rosaline. And Count Rosaline's Gloriana only lasted 2 or 3 years. And Count Vaughn was always quite vocal in the fact that he thought that Rosaline was the wrong man for the job. Naturally, he was the right man, and he has been vindicated somewhat by that failure.
Who's the Duke now?
Carrick? Sure, Pyro.
Who's the Duke now?
There is no Duke anymore. Gloriana was destroyed, and barbarians run riot there. The barbarians claim the duchy of Gloriana as a kingdom.
Oh.
It's very authentic. Yeah. You go ahead and make an investigation check. It is. Yeah. It looks genuine. Yeah. Yeah. It's a real deal. It's No, this has been hand signed by the as it has all the right seals. It has the magical protections. This is a huge contract, right? Like I'm not even sure how expensive it is, but it's at least 10,000 gold pieces, I would imagine. Melee weapons about 25 gold, and there's 500 of them. So it's a huge contract. And contracts of this size often have little magical protections built into them. Word runes, pretty common in banking and other big business, arms dealing, and everything checks out. This is it would cost hundreds of gold pieces to make this forgery.
I'd estimate the total value of this caravan to be somewhere around 50,000. Which
is it that much? Is it?
I think so.
Yeah,
including the trade bars.
including the trade bars. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's enormous. It's a really, really big contract, and they've come to this bridge, and the bridge couldn't. They've got that many weapons and armor that the bridge couldn't support them. So it's their own greed that has caused all of this.
I feel
What
like
do I know of
It's not illegal. It's not. Oh no, the poison. I mean, what they're doing here. This is not illegal. Selling 50,000 gold pieces worth of military gear to a Cormyrian count is not illegal, right? Like,
no, it depends very much for me on Count Vaughn's allegiances, whether he supports the crown or whether he supports the war wizard.
he has much reason to be against Cormyr from the backstory we got. If he's not directly involved, then he's probably backing them.
These to be the spoils of war, I would be saying. If it was World War II and the British saw a caravan of stuff going into Germany, I think they'd be taking it.
The thing is,
They're not independent merchants. They're evil under Bane.
If it is the case, like, because the Zentarum is obviously an evil organization.
They're our enemy.
They are, yeah. But they're also...
So where did spoils of war? We're taking the enemy's booty.
They also have roots in being a trade organization as well. So if a Cormyrian count allied with the crown has used a admittedly nefarious organization to purchase large amounts of arms and armaments, then I wouldn't want to stand in its way.
Well, is he purchasing it, or is he getting it as a gift? Because why would they be taking gold as well? But why would you be bringing gold? If you're selling it, why are you bringing enough gold to also raise the people to buy the army? So maybe the
consignment note does seem to say that it's being delivered. It says nothing of the gold at all. Actually, it just doesn't mention the gold. But it doesn't. Yeah. Yeah.
They are an enemy. They are. It is like finding an enemy supply train. Do you let it reinforce your enemy, or do you have legal rights to take it?
Best thing.
It's an enemy.
But we also don't have the grounds to confiscate any of it, though.
Yes, we do. It's a
Like
war.
what?
We just went to war with the Zentarum. We're going to be taking back a stronghold of the Zentarum. We're fighting them everywhere we can. Why would we not take it?
Yeah.
As a supporter of the crown, If I knew for a fact that Count Vaughn was a supporter of the War Wizards, then I'd have no qualms about taking this as spoils of war.
You're only gonna get a gift horse like this.
Is there some
Once.
check that Eleanor at the very least could do to see if she knows of what Vorn is like?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So I guess that's a history check.
Yeah,
Um,
history's not good for me. It's not gonna matter.
I suppose guidance will apply. Like, it's a more or less immediate thing, and immediate. Well, it's not going to help. Yeah, so you don't know a thing about him. It's a very, like, one thing that you do know is that his ambition that he could have been Duke of Gloriana is farcical. The guy is a count, but he has the power of a baron. He's not very powerful at all. He's really a minor count. The further north you get, the further you get away from the capital and away from the coast, the less influential nobles tend to be, and Vaughan is pretty far north. So Count is a big, hefty title, but that doesn't mean that Vaughan is not a petty man.
So,
You're gonna be
Where
fighting
did he
these
get the money
swords.
to afford all this?
What was that,
even-
Silver?
Go ahead.
I'm curious where such a minor noble would have come by the wealth necessary to
That's what
buy
I'm
all
thinking.
this.
He's not be giving it. He's getting the goods and the money to buy soldiers. He's just nothing but a puppet. We should be taking it.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with the dwarf.
I thought I showed you once already. I'm not a little man.
Ah, hello.
Well, we know it's going to the Count.
To be a puppet of Zantharum. That's what it be.
Yes.
There's be no. Why would they be sending this with gold?
It does seem to me that regardless of whether Vaughn is on the side of the Crown or the side of the Wizards, this isn't good. Like, he being a very ambitious and a person that, it's not good.
You could I guess I would message, since I kind of want this to only be heard by Eleanor, not the guards around us. You could approach the captain while I guess pretending that your intention is to side with the war wizards and see how he reacts to that.
Moog's like, these are my people right there. We're not going to be having an army of an evil Zantharum puppet be getting any stronger.
Arctic just said that there was an address in Arabelle as well. We might want to mark that down.
Consignment note has the delivery address. It left from a place called Zental Keep, which we're probably familiar with, and it's going to a particular place in Arabelle.
All the way from Zental Keep.
Quite likely.
I think we should confiscate it. We should be taking it, and we could put it under safekeeping in the Dwarven City, and we could go back to Arabelle and have some negotiation with the Count. And if he'd be good, he'd come back and get it himself.
Well, you do make a good point, Bogue, but technically this shipment isn't illegal, and I have no idea of Vaughn's allegiances. So I'm just saying that if I were to confiscate this shipment, it would reflect badly, and not just me, but my entire family.
Well, they might be overtaking your family. Might be a noble effort. The Count is in charge of Arabelle. Why would we be doing that? It's his city. It's his city. He could be stopping us doing anything as soon as we get on his.
That's not quite accurate. The person in charge of Arabelle is called Lady Lord Morwen. She's a knight, a paladin actually. She's a war hero who fought alongside King Arzoon during his prime, and she's nearly as old as he was when he died a few years ago. She's getting on in years in a serious way, but it's her town. She runs Arabelle, and Count Vaughn is more of a regional lord. He's nearby, but his county doesn't include a prominent town like Arabelle. But it's certainly close.
So don't you think you should be confiscating it and let the elders of Cormyr decide if they should be allowing the shipment to your Count Vaughn?
Not really my place to say. It would be the Lady of Arabelle who would make that decision.
Fine. Why don't we be taking it and giving it to her then? It's better than having it in the Zentharum hands.
We could
Best I can
tell the
think to do-
Zentarum that we are allied with Vorn and offer to escort them along with go with them with their caravan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe slitting your throat in the middle of the night. No, I'm saying, how far are we? Are we going to get there in a day? We don't even have a road.
We will get there in a day, I believe. Plus, I
Are
could
we-
probably repair the bridge.
In a day?
Hmm.
Just wash the
The best-
wagons away. Blame it on the river.
The best I can think to do would be to escort this shipment to Arabelle and inform the lady of the Count's purchase. If she is of a character that I believe she be, then she might even assist us in investigating him.
Or we could try to get there before them, because a group of 6 on 3 wagons can probably get there faster than a group of 50 on 4.
I wouldn't be
Inform them
opposed
of the address, inform the lady of the address, and have basically an ambush set for the Zentarum.
They'll be smarter than. Aye.
Well, then, I suppose we escort it to Arabelle, inform the lady, and as I mentioned, if I believe she the person that I think she is, she may even assist us. As it's exactly, I cannot bring shame upon my family by abusing my power. So
I'd be happy to take it all, and born be damned if that's going to cause problems for you. Also makes sense to escort it to Arabelle. Just as long as we're inconveniencing the Zentarum, I can be happy with that.
Yes. This is a spoil of war. This is falling upon a logistics train that would upset the whole balance. Whatever is going to. This is we just spent twice as much on trying to make an army that's in this cart. So
you may very well be right, Moog, but I can't jump to conclusions.
I do have to side with Loin on here. There's the political repercussions to think of.
always look forward to a good battle. You'll be fighting these weapons. They'll be coming at you. I guarantee it. Yeah, but what bloodshed? What about the people without shields?
We
What
could
about the
probably
commoners? What about everybody else? Once this army gets created, what's going to be stopping it?
hopefully the Lady Lord Morwen. Yeah.
Yeah, we are. Where there thousands? I don't be seeing thousands.
We're going to one of the hearts of Cormyr, where there's most likely someone that would side with us on this, who actually has jurisdiction here. We're just
Fuck.
passers through.
All right, let's be going.
We've left the Dale lands. We don't have any authority here, and Eleanor's authority is down south.
So then it
How-
makes no difference if we use this as a target of advantage to build our army. This could change the whole war.
Then that just makes us bandits.
It makes us opportunists of war. This is not bandits. This is fighting an enemy. Are
We're
the
also-
Zentarum your enemy or not?
We're in a different country where we have to abide by their laws.
What? There would be no laws.
There's definitely laws in other countries.
Zentarum are open season wherever you see them.
Then we discuss this with the person whose jurisdiction is to handle it.
Well, I thought it wasn't her jurisdiction. She's farther south.
In the Dales, it was by Morn, but here it would be Morwen. We're in a different country.
Fine, let's begin to fix the bridge then.
Well, I think we decided
so-
to just part the water.
Are we able to do that? Are we able to part the water? All right. So if that
We can
works,
do
then
that,
that's going to work. So very, very good. Okay, so that's a great trick. And with the riverbank open, we're able to get everything across. And the Zentarum kind of wish they had someone just like you on all of their trips like this. Finnick, could you roll a d20, please?
Well, if we roll a
Thank you.
dragon, we have 50 quote-unquote allies.
To feed to it.
All right.
I'd be looking forward to a dragon.
Arctic laughs as a dragon is rolled.
This is a bit of an odd encounter. This one. Okay. All right.
We do have the plunder a dragon would be wanting. Just with
Well, dragons are usually
Finnick.
concerned about. I was going to say, dragons are usually concerned about magic.
Yeah,
items,
please.
but we're wearing them. So yeah, never mind.
Pretty easy to find. So Finnick, it's been a long day, but it's been probably a pretty boring day for you. All of this pulling wagons out of rivers and then sending them across muddy rivers. It's been very monotonous and physical. How are you holding out in the heavy rain? Still having fun?
I guess Finnick probably would have a while ago casted Speak with Animals to his horse and just said follow that horse and just dozed off.
Finnegan has not been paying much attention. Well, that's not too bad then. As long as you keep yourself dry, then and as long as you can sleep on a horse, which I can't imagine is bloody possible. My God.
I think he's on the back wagon. I'm controlling the back wagon.
Then you're
Just
yeah.
sleeping
Look,
on
then
the
you're
wagon.
dry and warm, and you don't have to walk. You have used your life hacks to make this a much better trip than it deserved to be. But Finnegan, you hear on the night before we reach Arabelle. So the Arabelle's within 15 miles and can be seen in the distance. We can see the glowing lights of 40,000 different lamps and lanterns. During that evening, you get wind that somebody's looking for you, Finnegan. Someone comes up to you and they wakes you up. A loyal camp follower who thinks that you're just the best because you're a rabbit person, and that's really enough to justify why you are the best. And this girl comes up to you and she wakes you up and she says, Finnick, there's someone looking for you.
I guess I just rub my eyes and be like, you know me?
Yes. You're. There's someone who's been looking for you.
Who's looking for me?
He's asking about you. He's asking where you are. Maybe you need to get out of here.
What does he look like?
He's small and he wears a suit, but no shoes.
I'm very curious now. Guess I'll hand her a gold coin and say, lead me the way.
Oh, but shouldn't you run away in case he wants to duel you or something?
I mean, this has been a pretty boring day. A duel could be quite interesting.
She's stunned by that proposition, but it leads you nonetheless around, and you go around the camp till you come to a place where the Zentarum have set up a kind of temporary bar. They do this virtually every night, turn over a few crates of put down a couple of packs of cards and pour a little bit of gin or whatever they've got on hand, and gathered around this makeshift drinking hole is a gnome. And the gnome is dressed, as she described, in a suit, but wears no shoes. And his shoes are as furry as feet as any halflings could ever want to be. And this gnome doesn't appear to be carrying any weapons, but they do have a lot of documents in their hands, mostly in the form of a folder that is bulging with pieces of paper that are sticking out everywhere. And one of the pieces of paper he's handing out is a picture of you, and he's asking everyone, has anybody seen this creature? They're called Herengons, that is rabbit folk. This one would be about yay high. Well, I'll have to stand up and get. Whoa! He stands up on a crate to demonstrate how tall you are, and falls off and drops his documents and has to collect them up again. And that's when you arrive.
I think I'll walk over, pick one up, and say, I don't think I've seen this person.
They'd be about your height and the same color fur and your ears. Finnick! Finnick! What's your surname?
Long ears.
Finnick Longears! Are you Finnick Longears?
Yes, and who may you be?
Finnegan Fraud, lawyer of Larson and Fraud. I've been looking for you, Finnick Longears. I need to confirm for you your identity because I have something for you.
I mean, I'm a rabbit folk named Finnick. I'm not really sure how else to prove that I'm Finnick.
So you swear that you are indeed Finnick Longears and not an imposter? You're not wearing an illusion? You don't have any disguise? He pulls out like his glasses and starts reading off a script that he pulls out that he's picked up off the ground. You are in no way enchanted nor compelled to lie. This is the honest truth that you identify indeed as Finnick Longears.
Yes, Finnick Longears, the ranger from the Fae. That is me.
Finnick, I have something for you. A document.
Ah, the little girl said a jewel, but yeah, what's the document?
I can't give it to you, I'm afraid.
Am I being sued?
I don't rightly know. I haven't looked at the document. I'm a lawyer. I'm just delivering I need to find you. I've been looking for you for so long, and in my quest to find you, I have racked up considerable fees. My feet are very sore. I've lost my boots. I have travelled all the way across 3 different countries. I've been looking for you for so long, and now I've finally found you. And I will be requiring my retainer before I hand over the documents that I have of yours.
And how much is your retainer?
Well, it is legally 25 pieces of gold, but I have spent over 100 pieces of my own fortune in my quest to find you, and I think it would be most fair if you would replace that which I have already spent of my own.
Is at least I'm gonna get, from your experience, is these letters more good news than bad news?
Bad news, sir?
I'll just give him 15 platinum pieces.
A pleasant retainer, a wonderful master. You I forever in your service. Are you in need of life insurance, sir? I also sell life insurance.
What would I need life insurance for?
Well, in case you die, then somebody that you love will be compensated for your loss. It's gambling against one's own death, sir.
No, that's quite fine. Whoever kills me can have my stuff.
I suppose that's fair. And he starts searching through his scrolls and he finds it. The one document deepest down, most protected, within a waterproof skin and little velvet package. He pulls it out and he offers it to you.
I see you went through a lot of effort. It was definitely worth the price. Yes, is it still raining?
It is still raining.
Guess I'll direct the gnome to a tent where we can read it without it getting wet.
Great idea. And once you're within shelter and you pull it out, you find that your great aunt Galicia, unfortunately, is dead.
I look at him. You spent all this time telling me a rabbit died. Do you know we don't live that long? We die by the dozens.
There's more. But there's more. She was carried off by orcs about a year ago.
Huh.
But there's more. You have inherited her abandoned estate in northwestern Gloriana. It stretches to the edge of the Stonelands. Her domain features a tower, a tin mine, a vineyard, and it once sustained about 100 people, or more than 100 people. In fact, when this document was penned, it's got the names of 100 citizens, your citizens. Since you're a landowner now, you don't have to, you don't legally own them, but they are kind of like your serfs. But it also dates back to, it's pretty interesting, but it dates back to a time before the death of the king. And so this is maybe slightly outdated information because he's been dead for about 2 years now. And she's only been dead for 1 year. So I guess they didn't update the documents in that year. Anyway, I'm not sure. I'm just a lawyer. But you've got land and a castle and a tin mine and a vineyard and a village. And all it cost you was 15 platinum pieces.
Never saw myself owning land. That's quite interesting. Do you mind if I keep this waterproof case? I don't really have anything waterproof.
I don't have another?
I'm sure with the 15 platinum I gave you, you can purchase another.
Oh, yes, I suppose I could. He admits. Yes, I suppose I could. And he doesn't seem so distressed when he remembers that the tip that he got was bigger than the price he asked. That is a bit unfortunate. The barbarians are inconvenient.
Barbarians. They're more settlers to live on my land.
Right.
I could just turn into the Feywilds. Just do what you want. Random shit happens. It's whatever.
Oh, imagine a rabbit king. That would be awesome. Everyone's gonna flock to you.
Finnick, king of the barbarians.
What are his credentials? He's very cute. I'm in.
You chill. This sounds like an excellent place to live. It's like Las Vegas or something.
Let's thank the gnome for his time.
Do you need a lawyer, my lord?
I'm not sure why
I could-
quite need a lawyer.
I could stick around. Do any of your friends need life insurance?
I don't know, but if you wish to stick around, we're heading to Arabelle.
Shoes shined, perhaps? I'm a decent cook. I cut hair for my mother. I'll do anything. I've got no work, you see.
What about all those other letters? Don't you have to deliver those?
Most of them are fake.
Wait, is this one fake?
The picture of you?
No,
Or the no. When I say fake, I don't mean illegal. I just mean filler. Look, and he shows you, and most of them are just blank pieces of paper, just stuffed in there to make it look like he's got a lot of work.
Sure, I could always use a travel companion. You can sit on the wagon and we can chat.
What does it pay, sir?
I will pay you another platinum to just be on your own way.
He considers that only momentarily, takes you on your offer, grabs the platinum, and you never see him again. No.
I
Guess I'll
wanted
just
to
return
get
to my
life
wagon then.
insurance.
Alright, you return to your
Save you
wagon.
some money.
A landowner.
Guess you could call me King Finnick now.
Yeah. Finnick Longears Esquire. Alright. The next day, we reach the region of Arabelle. Arabelle's got about 30,000 people, and they are battle scarred. When you start coming in, you start seeing that the fields are empty. There's nobody working out in the pumpkin patches. There's nobody tilling the wheat. There's nobody feeding or watering the cows and so on. The farms have just been emptied, and given that it is an agricultural centre, that is the economy. It's unprecedented. It looks like, for one thing, bad rulership. Anyone could come in and steal these pigs. There's no one. Well, there are a few patrols getting around, but not many. Just looks like the country has been emptied. But you know it's not, because you saw all the lights were on in the town last night. Does this slow us down or give us a moment to pause, or do we do anything, or we just continue into the town?
I do worry about the sorry state of it all, but I don't think he would give us pause.
Excellent. So, yep. Yeah, all right, no worries. So you are no doubt accosted at some stage by a patrol, by some outriders, and you inform them to hurry back to Lady Morwen to tell them of Lady Eleanor's arrival and the fact that there is a war band travelling through. Are you chartered adventurers? Do you have a charter?
Probably not. It'd be
Right.
outdated by now, seeing as a lot of the party is rotated out.
Right, yeah. If there were, well, the charter doesn't matter so much about the people though, as long as nothing else changes. Then ironically, the personnel that make up the charter don't matter. A charter is like a corporation. For those of you who don't know, it's like a corporation license that gives you the license to kill people and take their stuff, to break into tombs and freely murder every goblin you come across, and not really have to justify your actions because you're a chartered adventurer. It's not quite that simple.
Like the Chalice of Destiny or something like that.
Yeah, because I do remember that
Did
way
we
back.
pay the fee?
I think
Sorry,
we
keep
paid
going.
the fee, but we did.
That sounds
speak
like a
to
bad female pop singing from the 1990s. Like Destiny's Child, Destiny's Champions. That's a terrible.
Which makes it the perfect though. The fact that it's so bad makes it absolutely perfect. That's...
Mm.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. So the fact that you're a chartered adventuring party means that gives you some legitimacy. So that's 25 gold pieces well spent a long time ago. And we come into a town where they are drilling militia. There are 2,000 professional troops, which is a lot of soldiers in a town of 30,000 people. There's 2,000 professional troops, purple dragons. There are also 8,000 levies, and so that's where all the farmers have gone. And these levies are learning how to use a spear in most cases, although a couple of them are learning how to use bows and other weapons. Yeah, and you come in and you find some purple dragons, some soldiers, and these soldiers they're kind of beaming to see Eleanor, and they're far less happy to see pretty much everyone else. They're kind of pretty happy to see Finnick, but they're like, oh, look at those ears, they're fucking so long. That's awesome. And they try to drill you into joining the army, ma'am. Your companions would make excellent soldiers for the Cormyrian force, ma'am. It would be considered an honor for us to take these rat catchers off your hands and teach them how to fight, ma'am, and throw them against the enemy.
I'm afraid these fellows are my personal retainers and are not currently available.
That's unfortunate, ma'am. If they could really be of use in any upcoming battle that we might face.
Speaking of battles, I have been out of the country for quite some time. For what purpose is this force being rallied? Might it be the Civil War?
There are many dangers. Civil war among them, although in her wisdom, the Lady Lord has made it illegal to speak such words, my lady. The words civil war have been banned. There is to be no talk of insurrection. Please don't do that.
That is an absurd decree to disallow even discussion around the topic. Not that I doubt its legitimacy, only that it is absurd.
Are you suggesting that the Lady Lord might be wrong, ma'am?
I do believe it's something that I might bring up to her in person.
As you wish, my lady.
Well, as you were. Proceed.
All right. And so yeah, you come into this town, and the economy is shut down. The farming, the business, everybody's been been emptied out, and men and women. So it's great to see Cormyr being, coming into the new era, and they pull girls out of the arms of their mothers. While their mothers still clutch other babies in the other arms, and they put a spear in the hands of these 14-year-olds with their auburn locks, and they teach them how to fight against a goblin, and how to fight instead against an orc. You aim a little higher for an orc, and you've got to hit harder to get through the flesh and the bone. Goblins are quicker, so quicker strikes are what are needed for goblins. And this is the scene that greets you as you walk into a town that, if any of you guys have been to Cormyr, Northern Cormyr in particular, then you've been to Arabelle. You've been here before. And it's normally considered the country hick city of Cormyr. It's not as sophisticated as the southern cities, but, they still douse pigs in grease and set them, and people run after them and chase them at the country fair. They still have country fairs. It's a very quaint place. You've never seen it like this before.
Think to myself, is the situation really so dire? So I'll have to wait and see.
Guards confiscating what? Oh yeah.
Hmm. Yes. I'll ask that the guards detain the shipment for now until the Lady Variable authorizes it.
All right, no worries. So you've got people looking after the Zentara, but there's a lot of them. How are you gonna detain 50 soldiers, 55 soldiers?
It's not so much the soldiers, I suppose. It's more the contents of their wagons.
Yeah, fair enough. So you let the soldiers just go and you don't interfere in their lives. It's up to either their sergeants or themselves.
As you say, it'd be a bit unrealistic, and the city has its own law enforcement, which should take care of that. At least you'd hope.
Yeah, they're kind of busy at the moment, but anyway, all right, that's great. Lady Lord Warwin, she is watching over this great procession. It seems that there are the military leaders up there on, I guess you call it a stage or a podium. That's a pretty grand word for Arabelle. It's more like when they have a harvest festival and they want to speak to everyone in the Shire to tell them who won the chicken raffle. That's where the mayor jumps up and says his spiel. So she's up on an elevated platform overlooking these cattle yards that have been turned into drill yards, and we're on the other side of 8,000 peasants and 2,000 professional soldiers, in a place where most of the businesses are closed anyway.
Sea of bodies.
Yeah, a great festival of martial training. You can see her out there on the other side of it, up on the elevated platform. She wouldn't be able to see you, most likely. Well, maybe she can. Maybe you stand out. You've got a caravan after all.
If there happens to be a guard standing about, I'd ask him to inform her that I'd like to speak with her.
All right, and you watch as the progression. He goes up and speaks to someone, who passes on the message to someone, who passes on the message to someone on the stage, who passes on the message to one of the generals, who then passes it on to her. And the message then gets passed back through an equally complex chain, and you're invited to come and have lunch up on the podium with her.
Very well.
Doesn't specifically say that you can or you cannot bring anyone with you.
I assume that it would be a private invitation.
Fair assumption. Yeah, no worries. Probably couldn't get much closer than 100 feet due to the nature of the hills.
I can have my bird sit in like Eleanor's pocket, and I can have an active message up with it.
If the bird was to be discovered, it would look pretty bad. I'd have to decline.
A metal bird that could be a trinket.
The metal bird. But Flightless should be able to read the lips and get the gist of the conversation.
We're in our town. We're not going to get ambushed.
Maybe, hopefully not. Otherwise, I don't think we could take on 10,000 soldiers. Yeah, exactly. Well,
We'll
see what
find
I
out
can-
as soon as they start talking. I mean, we don't have to do anything.
Alrighty.
All right, no worries. They're probably going to try to press gang Flightless into the army, but we'll deal with that later. So you bypass the crowd and the guard, and they seem to know that you're coming because they part for you before you arrive. And after walking for 5 or 6 minutes, you're now up on the podium and you're looking down at the sea of soldiers, and it's impressive. It's only a small city or a large town. There's not only 30,000 people who live here, but there's a force of 10,000 soldiers in front of you, and most of them are pretty pathetic. Most of them are their skill with spears is more akin to raking or hoeing, but they're soldiers all the same. And when you've got this many, like you think back to the Dales, Dagger Falls only has 2,000 people. So if you had a force this size, you'd almost certainly overrun Dagger Falls with your army. And so that's a lot of power. That's real power. And that's what it means to be Cormyrian. That's what it means to be from the civilized kingdom to the south, rather than some frontier settler whose ambition will rarely be bigger than their backyard. But these are thoughts that come to you unbidden, and you are invited to sit in a chair down beside the Lady Morwen. She trusts you enough that a seat that was previously occupied by perhaps a general or something has been cleared away, and when you sit within it, you'll find that it's still warm. It was occupied so recently. But she doesn't get up when you approach. In fact, she doesn't even really look at you. She holds out her hand and gestures towards the chair. But it's clearly her attention is directed to the forces out beyond, and she gestures with her right hand, and she holds within her left hand this beautiful jeweled scepter. It looks like a weapon of war unto itself. It's essentially a mace, a big flanged mace, but the fact that it's made of so many precious metals and decorated so makes it as much a scepter as it does a mace.
Would I have met Lady Morwen before? At any point?
It's likely that you have, but as a child, and she doesn't look much different than she did as you remember her. But she's an important person and something of not exactly a living legend, but a local hero. She's a folk hero, and so she probably meets a lot of noble little girls, and whether she remembers you or not is questionable.
I'll sit beside her as directed. It's been a long time, Lady Morwen. It's a pleasure to meet you again.
Aye, it has, child. How are your family?
I haven't spoken to them in quite some time, unfortunately. I have been out of the country.
Are you on bad terms with them?
I wouldn't say bad. Perhaps a little frosty.
She rests her scepter now in both hands, and she says, I always found your people to be impetuous, but strong. How do you think they will fare in any upcoming conflict?
Well, it would be my hope that they would come out on top, of course.
Are you a monarchist? What's your surname?
Veyran.
Are you a monarchist, Veyron?
You ask if I support the crown and the rightful rule of the Hidden King.
I ask more specifically if you support the Princess Regent or someone else. We all support the Hidden King, but we might not come back, you know.
When she speaks of the Princess Regent, who's she referring to?
The king, Arzun IV, he had 4 children, right? All girls. The Princess Regent is the youngest. Her name is Alistair, and she's taken over, but she doesn't really want the crown, according to most reports. She's a former adventurer. She is the auntie of the infant known as the Hidden King.
Then yes, I certainly would. If the Hidden King has met his demise, then she would have the most right to the throne. I would support her fully.
Does your family feel the same way?
It's a good question, do they?
I don't know. I guess we haven't really covered this, so you can decide now. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you left before it became a political question. Their loyalty was unquestioned when you left, but there was no question when you left, perhaps.
And I'll respond by saying, I'd like to think that they too support the crown. I don't see any reason why they would not. And if they had chosen to support the war wizards, it would sadden me greatly.
If he was still alive, the king, I mean, he never would have let barbarians settle in Gloriana. I don't know if he would have done everything to protect those realms, I'm sure. The Stonelands, all those places to the north. It all fell when he left. I don't know why. Cormyr doesn't send up its forces right now to do something about it. It seems that everybody's too reluctant. Everyone's holding their cards so close to their chest, no one wants to play their hand.
Yeah, so it would seem. Although it would seem that you are planning to play some sort of card very soon if the sight before us is any indication.
I want my people to be ready, Veyron. I want my people to be prepared, not like Arabelle was 4 years ago when the goblins came. They overran us, they did. Burned the city to the ground. Nothing left. All of our grain gone. We feed a quarter of Suzale, a quarter of the country. When people can't eat, they rebel. I need Arabelle to be ready in case the war comes here.
Wise. Very wise.
Then you would not counsel me against it? You would not tell me I am a fool for emptying the farms and the forests and the fields?
Well, can you afford to support the city, turning its occupants into an army of this size? The situation here in Cormyr could go on for quite some time, and this could end up being more of a detriment than a boon in the long run.
Perhaps. Perhaps not, she says dismissively. and she plays with the phalange on her jeweled scepter. Enormous weapon, skull-crushing, kingly weapon.
Tell me, what do you know of the allegiance of Count Vaughn?
Vaughn has turned to the Sembians. He's in the pocket of that Benoit, wine merchant. They say if you drink wine in Sembia, then your coin goes straight into the pocket of Benoit. Richest man in the richest country, from what I hear. And Vaughn's been bought out by him. He's only a young fellow, you know, in his early 30s, that Vaughn. But thinks too much of himself. Thinks everything of himself. The way I hear it, when his elder brother died, when they didn't fall off that horse that claimed their life.
See. Well, it might interest you then that on my way here, I encountered a sizable caravan of Zentarum, who, when I stopped to check their shipment for any contraband, of course, noticed that they were delivering a sizable amount of food and weapons and gold, the total value of which must have been around 50,000, to Count Vaughn.
And where are those weapons now?
Yeah, I asked some of your guards to detain them at the entrance to the city until given your authorization.
Very good. She looks out at her vast force. We will distribute them among the best of those who survived the training.
Very well. If that is your will.
All right.
Hmm.
And with ominous words, it's probably a good time to end the session.
Yeah, I guess I would just make some small talk for a little while of various things about the country's affairs, because I don't think of anything else important to bring up.
We have to deliver that stuff.
Oh yeah, the stuff.
Too.
Although we're not delivering. Are we delivering it to her?
It's going to a Westgate Wagons person, yeah.
Okay,
We'll deal with that next week. Yeah, that's right. Oh, this crow would make a good cannon fodder. They drag him off to. See you later, everyone.
So, right before I head off and